Chapter 1390. At the end of the day, the person he should blame the most was himself. If it wasn't for him, Xiao Rong wouldn't have contracted such a strange disease, wouldn't have made such a fool of himself. But, who could he blame? Duke Ning knew that this matter wouldn't take long. It would quickly spread throughout the entire capital. At that time, Xiao Rong Princess would not only lose her own face, but also his, Duke Ning's face. And the dignified and honorable image that he had maintained in front of everyone for so many years would be destroyed in a single day. In the future, how would he have the face to appear in front of the officials? How would he have the face to raise his head in front of everyone? He really hated. After an unknown amount of time, Xiao Rong Princess was finally tired from rubbing. She was completely exhausted. Panting, she hugged the old locust tree and collapsed into a ball. She let out a long sigh of relief in her heart. That damned, tormenting itch had finally disappeared. Xiao Rong Princess slowly opened her eyes and then her eyes widened. What was going on? Why was there so many people gathered around her? They were all nobles and officials, and all of them were looking at her like they were watching a play. I'm not rubbing anymore. Yeah, I haven't had my fill yet. What a pity, what a pity. Whispers of discussion came from the crowd. Xiao Rong Princess was dumbfounded. After a while, she realized that she was hugging an old locust tree and her face was tightly pressed against the trunk. What had she just done? The scene that had just happened suddenly replayed in her mind. Her face instantly turned red. Then she covered her face with her hands and let out a scream. It was too embarrassing. Under the gaze of so many eyes, she hugged the old locust tree without any fear and shamelessly rubbed against it, up and down. The scariest thing was that she seemed to be grunting like a pig. Xiao Rong Princess was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to do. She wanted to bang her head against the old locust tree and die. Rong, let's go. Come back to the Fu with your father. Duke Ning pushed through the crowd and walked in front of Xiao Rong Princess with a dark face. He grabbed her hand. Today, both father and daughter had lost all face. He didn't have the face to stay in the palace a moment longer. He just wanted to quickly send this daughter who had made him lose face back to the Fu and never let her show her face again. Xiao Rong Junju stumbled as she was pulled along by her father. She suddenly realized that she had made a fool of herself today. In the future, she would no longer have the face to see anyone. Her father had dragged her back to the manor. He was determined to lock her up for the rest of her life. From now on, she would never be able to see her cousin, the emperor. Her heart felt like it had been stabbed by a knife. It hurt so much that tears flowed out of her eyes. No. My daughter is not leaving. Today is the birthday banquet specially held by the Empress Dowager for this daughter. This daughter is not going back to the mansion. She struggled and broke free from Duke Ning's grasp. She didn't even think as she charged at Imo Chuan and fell in front of him. Tears flowed down as she sobbed. Cousin, you have to help Rong. Someone is trying to harm Rong. Someone is trying to harm me on purpose, that's why Rong. What happened just now? Rong doesn't know anything. Cousin, you have to believe Rong. Yes, it must be her. It must be her who harmed me. Xiao Rong Princess suddenly raised her hand. Her face turned fierce and her eyes turned sharp as she pointed at Xiao Ru beside Qin Ning. Chapter 1391. The Xiao Rong Princess knew that she had made a fool of herself today. If she was brought back to the palace by her father, she would never be able to raise her head again and her reputation would be ruined. She did not believe that she had some strange disease for no reason at all. What psoriasis, she had never heard of them before. In the 3 years she had been practicing martial arts with her master, her body had been very healthy. She had not even had a cold or cough. So the only way she could save herself now was to find the person who had framed her and wash away the shame on her. The first person she thought of was Chen Ning, but from beginning to end, Chen Ning had not come close to her at all, not even a finger had touched her. Putting aside Chen Ning's suspicions, the next most likely person was Xiao Ru. It was Xiao Ru who had brought over a cup of hangover soup. Although she did not drink the soup, she had touched it with her hand. Perhaps it was that girl who had smeared some medicine on the side of the bowl and did something to it. It had to be like this. No wonder when she put down the bowl, her body began to itch. It had to be Xiao Ru. There was another possibility. The problem was the honey perfume that Chen Ning had given her. But whether it was the honey perfume or the hangover soup, it was all a trick played by the master and servant. The more the Zhao Rong princess thought about it, the more hatred she felt. She glared at Chen Ning from the corner of her eyes. But she was smarter this time. She knew that if she pointed the spearhead at Chen Ning, her cousin would not stand up for her, so she grabbed onto Xiao Ru. No matter how much her royal cousin liked that woman, he would not stand up for a servant. As long as she could prove that she had been framed by that servant Xiao Ru, she would be able to restore her clean reputation. She would also be able to pull that little fox off the throne of the Empress. The Zhao Rong princess made her plan in her heart. She suddenly grabbed Xiao Ru's wrist and pulled her to her side, staring right into her eyes. It wasn't you. If it wasn't you, then why are you panicking? Why are you so nervous? Why are you trembling? You're still saying that it wasn't you. You clearly have a guilty conscience. Quickly tell me, what did you do to that bowl of sour plum soup? Xiao Ru panicked. She used all her strength, wanting to break free from the Zhao Rong princess grip. However, the Zhao Rong princess had practiced martial arts for 3 years and her grip was very strong. She could not break free at all. It wasn't me, it really wasn't me. I didn't do anything. Really, I didn't do anything. Her heart was filled with panic. Her tongue was tied and she was even stuttering. She had never lied since she was young. This was the first time in her life. This was the first time in a lie. This was because she had indeed put some powder in the soup. Now that she was being questioned by the Zhao Rong princess, her heart was filled with guilt and she couldn't help looking over at Chen Ning. Xiao Ru. Zhao the princess was even more. Xiao. Ru. Xiao Chen Ling Xiao to her to Xiao, she a Xiao. Xiao Ru. Xiao Ru Xiao, and she, and who, she, Xiao, no. Chapter 1392. This sudden turn of events was completely out of everyone's expectations. Mo Chuan and the ministers all looked at Xiao Ru. Seeing her panicked expression and her fearless face, they began to have doubts in their hearts. Could this matter really be related to Xiao Ru? Duke Ning's face was as dark as ink. If he didn't care about his status, he would have already grabbed Xiao Ru's throat and personally interrogated her. His hazy eyes looked over Chen Ning's face and his heart was filled with a deep hatred. It's her. It must have been her who ordered her servant to do this. It was her who made his daughter embarrass herself in front of the ministers. It was her who gave him a fierce slap in front of everyone's faces. Very good, he would remember this. If he didn't take revenge for this, he wouldn't be a person. Chen Ning did not ignore Duke Ning's lowered brows and the hatred in his eyes. It seemed like he was putting this black pot on her head. She curled her lips and couldn't help rolling her eyes at Gu Qingze. She thought, Master, your disciple is taking the blame for you. However, she was too lazy to explain and didn't care at all. They could think whatever Duke Ning and his daughter wanted to think. If they wanted to put the blame on her, that was no problem. Even if this situation didn't happen, Xiaorong Princess's current situation wouldn't be any better. She would let those little bees come to stab her until even her father, Duke Ning, couldn't recognize her. Only, she could tolerate them putting the blame on her head, but she could not tolerate them bullying Xiao Ru. Stop! Who dares to make a move? The guards raised their palms, preparing to slap Xiao Ru's mouth. Chen Ning's cold voice rang out and everyone immediately stopped, looking at her. You need to look at the owner before hitting a dog. She is this queen's personal maid and you want to hit her, but have you asked this queen's opinion? Just because you say she did it, does it mean she did it? What proof do you have? Chen Ning slowly stood up from her seat. Her expression was very serious and there was not a single trace of a smile on her face. Her cold eyes swept over the faces of the guards and they couldn't help feeling a bit panicked. She walked over to Xiao Ru, not even looking at the guards as she coldly said, "Let her go." The guards loosened their hands like they had been bewitched. Young miss. Xiao Ru immediately kneeled down at Chen Ning's feet and began to sob. Stand up for this queen, you're not allowed to cry. If you cry, others will think that you have a guilty conscience and think that you have done something wrong to the princess. Stand up straight for this princess and wipe your tears. Loudly tell the princess and everyone that there is no problem with this soup. Chen Ning raised her voice and spoke in a loud and clear voice. Her words filled Xiao Ru with courage. She wiped her tears and stood up from the ground, straightening her back. Your Highness's matter has nothing to do with this servant. The hangover soup was clean and there was nothing in it. Furthermore, Your Highness didn't drink a single mouthful. Why are you saying that this servant harmed Your Highness? This servant is not convinced. She said loudly. That girl Xiao Ru was becoming more and more mature. She could actually grasp logic and refute it. Chapter 1393. This was because she was stumped by Xiao Ru's question. She did not touch a single drop of the soup, so even if Xiao Ru did something to the soup, it wouldn't make sense. Duke Ning gave a cold laugh and said, You keep saying that there was nothing in the soup and that Zhao Rong's matter has nothing to do with you. If it really has nothing to do with you, then why do you look so panicked? It's clear that you have a guilty conscience, so if I don't torture you, you won't tell the truth. If you really want to prove your innocence, then this duke will ask you, do you dare to accept the punishment? If you don't change your confession after the punishment, then it will prove that you are innocent and this duke will not pursue your crime. Otherwise, you will not be able to escape from this matter. His words were very powerful. There was a hidden meaning in his words and a trap in his trap. Xiao Ru's thoughts were very pure. In terms of scheming, she wasn't even qualified to carry Duke Ning's shoes. When she heard Duke Ding say that as long as she didn't change her confession after the punishment, she didn't even think about it before loudly saying, Of course I dare. If I didn't do it, then I didn't do it. I definitely won't confess under torture. She thought that as long as she clenched her teeth, she wouldn't change her confession. Not to mention that this matter had nothing to do with the young miss. As long as the young miss wasn't implicated in this matter, even if she suffered a bit of pain, it wouldn't be a big deal. Duke Ning looked at Chen Ning and said, All right, since it's like this, come, punish her. Several guards pressed Xiao Ru to the ground and someone brought over a stick. This punishment was different from the palm strike from last time, it was a solid spanking on the butt. If the strength wasn't controlled properly, it was unknown how many palace servants would die under this punishment. Xiao Ru was young and had just entered the palace, so how could she understand the power and twists and turns of this punishment? Chen Ning gave a sigh in her heart. She thought that this Duke Ning was truly an old ginger that was spicy. He was more than 100 times stronger than that idiot Zhao Rong princess. His words were very dignified and watertight, instantly trapping Xiao Ru inside. She took the initiative to say that she was willing to be punished. Like this, even if Imo Chuan wanted to protect her, he couldn't say anything. But this matter couldn't be blamed on Xiao Ru. How could she be Duke Ning's match? Looking at Duke Ning's intentions, he didn't just want to beat Xiao Ru into confessing, he wanted to beat her to death. He wanted to use Xiao Ru as an example to him, a monkey. But with Duke Ning's ability, he could only bully Xiao Ru a bit. If he wanted to bully her, there was no way. Do you take my words as wind passing by your ears? This consort has already said that she belongs to this consort. Whoever dares to touch her is equivalent to touching this consort. This queen looked at the guards and spoke in a calm voice, but it sent a chill down their spines. The guards were in a dilemma. The Duke wanted to fight, but the Empress didn't allow it. Who would listen to whom? They didn't dare to lower their staffs, nor could they take them back. They just held them in midair with awkward expressions on their faces. Mo Chuan calmly said, "Very good, you even dare to disobey the Empress orders. This one sees that you don't need to do your jobs anymore. Come, take away their tokens and send them out of the palace, never to be hired again." The guards' faces turned ashen as they kneeled down on the ground. They shouted, "Emperor, forgive us. Emperor, have mercy." Chapter 1394. Duke Ning's face became very ugly. His eyes turned dark and it seemed like they were about to drip water. All the ministers in the hall shrunk their necks, not daring to breathe too loudly. They all understood that the emperor wholeheartedly supported the Empress. Whoever dared to go against the Empress was going against the emperor, so they would not have a good ending. Duke Ning wanted to use the Empress maids as an example, but he never thought that the emperor would make the first move. He would use the guards as an example, making an example out of this old monkey Duke Ning. At the heart of the struggle, if anyone were to stand on the same side as Duke Ning, then that would be someone who didn't know the actual situation. The ministers all took a few steps back, staying as far away from Duke Ning as they could, showing that they had nothing to do with him. A bunch of fence-sitters who see the wind and set their sails, pooh. Duke Ning looked at everyone's expressions. He viciously cursed in his heart, but his face remained calm the entire time. He calmly stepped forward, "Emperor, this girl is willing to be punished to prove her innocence, it's not that this minister wants to force her to confess. Zhao Rong has suffered this kind of humiliation today, this minister just wants to prove her innocence. If this proves that this matter has nothing to do with this girl, this minister is willing to personally apologize to Miss Xiao Ru." His words were very reasonable. With his status as a duke, he was willing to apologize to a servant. This was already giving Xiao Ru a large amount of face. But Qin Ning and Mo Chuan understood his meaning, so they still insisted on torturing Xiao Ru. Qin Ning's brows jumped up and she revealed a smile. "Sir Duke, if you want to prove that the princess consort's matter is related to Xiao Ru, you don't need to use the stick. In fact, there is a simple way to prove that Xiao Ru has nothing to do with this matter at all." "Oh, a simple way. What is it?" Duke Ning also raised his brows as he confronted Chen Ning. "Since Sir Duke and the princess consort suspect that the problem is with this soup, then this princess will confirm whether there is a problem with this soup or not." Chen Ning walked in front of the princess consort's table and picked up the soup. Without any hesitation, she drank it all down without leaving a single drop. "Sir Duke, princess consort, you should be assured now, right?" She showed the empty bowl to the two of them. Duke Ning and Princess Xiao Rong were dumbfounded and speechless. This move was clean and beautiful, instantly shutting their mouths. "Hi Duke, in my opinion, you'd better think of a way to cure Her Highness instead of suspecting that someone wants to harm Her Highness. Not to mention that Her Highness has unique skills, if someone really has the guts to harm her, she'll be the first to find out. Moreover, the courtiers are all here today." Under the watchful eyes of so many people, I'm afraid it won't be that easy to poison Her Highness. Chen Ning's voice was clear and melodious as she spoke, making all the ministers nod their heads. The Empress is right. That's right, that's right. Who would have the guts to poison Zhao Rong Princess in front of so many people? That's impossible. Her Majesty the Empress has personally confirmed that all of this is just Lord High Duke's conjecture. It's all unfounded. The ministers all agreed with Chen Ning's words. Chapter 1395. However, Duke Ning was not willing to admit that Zhao Rong was sick in front of everyone. If he could find a scapegoat, then he could completely cover up Zhao Rong's disgraceful behavior today. He never thought that his wishful thinking would be easily defeated by Chen Ning. What should he do now? Should he continue to insist that someone was trying to harm Zhao Rong, or should he bring his disgraced daughter back to the palace? He could not make a decision right now. Chen Ning looked at his expression and guessed what he was thinking. She revealed a faint smile and said, "Sir Duke, this golden opportunity is right in front of you. If you don't know how to cherish it and miss this chance, it won't come again." Duke Ning looked up at her and knit his brows in confusion. What does the Empress mean? Please forgive this minister for not understanding. Chen Ning raised her brows. The princess has a strange illness and it is only temporarily under control. Whether it will relapse in the future, no one knows. The number one divine doctor in the world is right in front of the Duke, but the Duke is not asking for the divine doctor's medicine and instead wants to find the origin of the princess' strange illness. Isn't this neglecting the essentials and missing this golden opportunity? It has to be known that the divine doctor will not easily cure a person. Everyone knows that the divine doctor has 3 rules. As long as the patient falls into one of these 3 rules, the divine doctor will not help them. If the divine doctor is willing to give the princess a prescription, then the so-called treating a person must be treated to the end. Since the divine doctor can do it for the first time, he will definitely cure the princess' illness. Sir Duke, you need to strike while the iron is hot. This princess will say this much: I hope that the Duke will take care of himself. After she said this, she revealed a faint smile. She pulled Xiao Ru's hand and walked back to her seat. She calmly sat down and no longer cared about the Duke Ning father and daughter. Zhao Rong Princess was confused hearing this and her heart was filled with hostility towards Chen Ning. Hearing that she had a strange illness, she was filled with anger. She blurted out, "Father, your daughter is not sick at all. Someone must have done something to your daughter really is not sick. That petermatitis, your daughter has never even heard of it, it's all a lie. Shut up. Don't speak nonsense." Duke Ning's face sunk as he shouted at Zhao Rong Princess. Chen Ning's words were like a slap to his head, instantly waking him up. He thought to himself that he was too muddle-headed, forgetting the most important matter. The Empress was right. There was a great Buddha in front of him, but he was not in a hurry to burn incense. Instead, he wanted to turn around and leave the temple. Many thanks for the Empress reminder, this minister is filled with gratitude. Duke Ning gave a slight nod to Chen Ning to express his gratitude. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile, "No problem, no problem." She looked at Gu Qingze. Of Chen Ning. From start to finish, Gu Qingze didn't say a single word. If he hadn't been smart, Xiao Ru's but would have been split open. Of the Rong Xian Ning's Chen's master. From the looks of it, he was quite happy that he was the scapegoat. Then, he couldn't let him be idle. He might as well push the matter of Zhao Rong Junju to him. That way, he wouldn't have to sit on the side and act as if nothing had happened. Gu Qingze had been resting in his chair with his eyes closed. Even the strange sight of Princess Zhao Rong hugging a large tree and rubbing herself against it did not cause him to open his eyes. Everyone thought that he had fallen asleep. Chapter 1396. Chen Ning's guess was not wrong. Gu Qingze was not asleep. His eyes were closed, but he had heard every single word Chen Ning said. He couldn't help feeling angry and finding this funny. He had come to the palace to help prevent her anger, but this little girl had pushed that rotten branch to him. She wanted him to treat that dog-shit princess. Pay! Who did she think he, Gu Qingze, was, someone who would treat any dog or cat? He wasn't a veterinarian. Duke Ning pulled Xiao Rong Princess over to Gu Qingze's side. He saw that his eyes were closed and his breathing was heavy, like he was asleep. If it was normal times, he would not dare disturb Gu Qingze's rest, but now... Xiao Rong, kneel! He shouted. Xiao Rong Princess was stunned as she looked at Duke Ning in disbelief. Father, what are you saying? Why should your daughter kneel? The divine Dr. Gu has cured your strange illness. Shouldn't you kneel down to express your gratitude to the divine Dr. Gu? Father has always taught you that you need to be grateful. Could it be that you've ignored all of this? Why aren't you kneeling down and thanking the divine Dr. Gu? His eyes lit up as he stared at Xiao Rong Princess. Xiao Rong Princess's heart was filled with unwillingness. Although she wanted to win over Gu Qingze, that did not mean she was willing to kneel down to him. Father, your daughter is a princess personally granted by the emperor and he is just a commoner. You want your dignified princess to kneel down to a commoner. This is an insult to the royal family's dignity. What royal family's dignity? For dignity, you have to disregard your principles as a human. What did father teach you normally? If you don't kneel down, I will break your legs. Duke Ning angrily shouted. Although Xiao Rong Princess was loved by her father, seeing Duke Ning's anger, her heart was filled with fear. No matter how unwilling she was, she could only kneel down in grievance. This commoner, a commoner. This princess kneeling to you today, I'm afraid you won't be able to accept it. If there is any disaster in the future, don't blame this princess. She looked at Gu Qingze with a long face as she muttered in her heart. Speak. Duke Ning shouted again. Speak. What do you want me to say? Xiao Rong Princess revealed a wronged expression as she blinked her eyes. Words of thanks to the divine Dr. Gu. Don't tell me you need me to teach you these words. All right, I'll speak, I'll speak. Xiao Rong Regent Princess gritted her teeth and recited as if she was reciting a book, many thanks to godly Dr. Gu's great kindness. You have cured this Regent Princess's illness, and this Regent Princess cannot thank you enough. Whatever you want, this Regent Princess can give it to you. Do you want gold or silver? Do you want gold or silver? As long as you say it, I can afford it. The people in the hall all looked at her in shock. Everyone thought this Xiao Rong Junju looked intelligent, but who would have thought that she was just an embroidered pillow? She looked good on the outside, but had a belly full of grass. Duke Ning couldn't believe that such brainless words would come out of his own daughter's mouth. He was both angry and anxious. He slapped Xiao Rong Junju's back and said angrily, You, this girl, what are you saying? I will kill you. He raised his palm again and slapped Xiao Rong Junju's back. But while the sound was loud, the force behind it was light. Chapter 1398. Before Gu Qingze finished speaking, Duke Ning and Xiao Rong Junju's expressions changed. Especially Xiao Rong Junju. She couldn't help but raise her hand to touch her face, her eyes filled with terror. She was not afraid of death, but she was afraid of losing her beautiful appearance. Without this beautiful face, she would never be able to obtain Cousin Emperor's heart. Oh, right, Duke Ning, you have to remember, do not touch Junju's skin. Otherwise, you will also get this disease. If you accidentally touch it, immediately wash it with boiled vinegar. Remember, remember. Gu Qingze's last few words were the straw that broke the camel's back. Xiao Rong Junju suddenly fell to the ground and started to cry. No, I don't want to. I don't want to become ugly, I don't want white fish scales on my body, I don't want. Father, if your daughter becomes like that, your daughter might as well die. Duke Ning stared at her blankly, his expression complicated. Rong her, you will be fine. With Dr. Gu here, you will definitely be fine. He hugged Xiao Rong Juanju's shoulder and comforted. He suddenly turned around and faced Gu Qingze. His knees bent and he knelt down. Dr. Gu, you definitely have a way to cure Xiao Rong's disease, right? Your medical skills are the best in the world and no one can compare. As long as you can cure Xiao Rong, you can have anything you want. When Duke Ning knelt, it caused an uproar in the hall. The dignified Duke was actually kneeling to a commoner. But the moment he knelt down, Gu Qingze had already turned his wheelchair and dodged. He did not accept the other's kowtow. Duke Ning, will you keep your word? No matter what I want, you will agree. Gu Qingze's expression was very strange. He seemed to be smiling but not smiling, angry but not angry. That serene gaze caused Duke Ning's heart to jump. But right now, he was like an arrow on a bowstring that had to be released. Agree to everything. This Duke's words carry weight. As long as the genius doctor can cure Xiao Rong's strange disease, no matter what the genius doctor wants, this Duke will definitely satisfy the genius doctor's request. He said powerfully and the expression on his face was extremely sincere. He had already heard from Gu Qingze's words that the other really had a way to cure his daughter's psoriasis. As long as he could cure the strange disease, he, the dignified Duke of Ning, was wealthy enough to rival a country. He could have anything he wanted. As long as he could ask for it, he would definitely be able to do it. Therefore, his words were very sincere, without the slightest intention of going back on his words. You are willing to swear in front of everyone. Gu Qingze was not moved and said coolly. Yes, this. Duke Ning raised his hand without hesitation, with the Emperor of Heaven above and the Lady of Earth below, everyone present can be my witness. As long as the ancient divine physician can cure Xiao Rong's illness, I will do my best to satisfy the ancient divine physician's request. If I go against this oath, heaven and earth will not tolerate it. Very well. Since that's the case, I want a promise from you, Gu Qingze said word by word. Xiao Rong Juanju's heart jumped. She felt that these words were very familiar, as if she had heard them somewhere before. She suddenly remembered that when she had asked the thousand-faced young master for help, he had also asked her for a promise from her father. Chapter 1399. Xiao Rong Junju looked at Gu Qingze in front of her. He was wearing a coarse hemp shirt that had been washed so many times that it had turned white. His appearance could only be considered delicate and pretty, but his entire body's bearing was like that of an orchid in an empty valley. He stood out from the crowd, like a gurgling stream, transparent and clear, without the slightest bit of worldly air. Thousand-faced young master, on the other hand, wore a fiery red robe. His appearance was even more enchanting than a woman's. Once he appeared, he could steal everyone's attention. He was completely out of place with Gu Qingze. So strange, why did she compare the two of them? Xiao Rong Princess shook her head and shook the absurd thought out of her mind. What she cared about the most was her illness. As long as it could be cured, what was a promise? Even if it was 8 or 10 promises, she would make her father agree immediately. Father, Miracle Dr. Gu just wants a promise. What are you hesitating for? Quickly agree. Xiao Rong Princess saw that Duke Ning didn't agree and became anxious. She couldn't help but urge. Duke Ning lowered his head and muttered. He didn't think that Gu Qingze wanted a promise from him. Miracle Dr. Gu, what kind of promise do you want me to make? He probed Gu Qingze. Because a promise was different from a condition. As long as he gave this promise, no matter what the other person asked, he had to fulfill it without hesitation. Otherwise, he would be breaking his promise and would be despised by everyone. This was the reason why he couldn't agree so easily. This promise. I haven't thought of what I want yet. What? Duke doesn't agree. No matter, I was just saying. Today, I ate and drank to my heart's content. Thank you, Duke, for your invitation. This commoner is very grateful. It's getting late, this commoner will leave now. Gu Qingzi didn't care. There was no anger on his face. He cupped his hands at Duke Ning and turned his wheelchair to walk out of the hall. Father, why won't you agree? It's just a promise. What are you hesitating about? The miracle doctor is leaving, why aren't you chasing after him? Xiao Rong Princess panicked. She quickly ran over and stopped in front of Gu Qingzi. Miracle Dr. Gu, this princess agrees on behalf of my father. Gu Qingzi shook his head and said, Princess promise doesn't count. This commoner must hear Duke Ning personally promise. Xiao Rong Princess stomped her feet and ran back to Duke Ning's side. She shouted, Father, you don't love Ronger anymore. What's so special about a promise? Could it be that in father's heart, your daughter isn't even worth a promise? Since that's the case, father, you don't have to care about your daughter's life or death. Rather than dying from my body rot in the future, your daughter would rather die now. After she finished speaking, she gritted her teeth, stomped her feet, and slammed into the pillar of the hall. Your Highness, you mustn't. The hall filled with cries of shock of the hall and all of the ministers turned pale. Chen Ning's lips curled up as she found this very funny. Zhao Rong Juanzhu's act was really fake. She had martial arts. If she really wanted to die, she had countless ways to do so. Why would she be so stupid as to use this method of hitting a pillar? However, Gu Qingzi's strange request was beyond her expectations. She had originally thought that Gu Qingzi had tormented Zhao Rong Junzhu and humiliated her in front of everyone to vent her anger, but now it seemed that there was more to it than meets the eye. Chapter 1400. Chen Ning's mind turned, but she couldn't guess Gu Qingzi's intentions, so she just threw it to the side. Since Xiao Rong Princess was putting on a show, how could she not add oil to the fire and make this show even more exciting? Zhui Feng, quickly save Xiao Rong Princess. She raised her voice and shouted. In the next moment, Zhui Feng turned into a blur and appeared in front of the pillar. He pushed out with his palms and a strong internal strength pushed Xiao Rong Princess back several steps. Chen Ning waved her long sleeves and stood up from her chair. She slowly opened her mouth and said, Sir Duke, this princess really can't watch this any longer, so I have to say a few words of justice. The princess has been away from the capital city for 3 years and it has been rumored that the Duke has been missing his daughter so much that he hasn't gone to court for 3 years. Everyone knows how much he loves his daughter, so anyone who mentions the Duke will give him a thumbs up. However, seeing once is better than hearing 100 times. Today, the princess has a strange illness and the Duke's actions are commendable. He is even willing to kneel down to the divine doctor for the princess. This kind of father and daughter love is very touching, moving everyone here, but who would have thought? When she said this, she purposely dragged out her words. When everyone's attention was drawn to her, she continued to speak. Dr. Gu doesn't want fame and fortune, nor does he want gold, silver, or jewelry. If it's just a promise from Lord High Duke, why hasn't Lord High Duke agreed? Is it really as Her Highness said? In Lord High Duke's heart, your daughter is not as important as a promise. If these words were to be spread, I'm afraid everyone who heard it would feel cold. The good reputation that the Duke has gained in the capital city over the past 3 years would no longer exist. She spoke with sincerity and the officials all nodded their heads silently. They thought that the Empress was still the most reasonable person. The Duke's actions were indeed a little unreasonable. Duke Ning's face turned red and white, looking incomparably awkward. He really wanted to refute Chen Ning. Don't you feel pain talking from the sidelines? If you were asked to casually agree to a promise, would you dare? How could this promise be easily given to someone? Once he made a promise, he had to keep it. If the other side told him to eat shit, he couldn't drink urine. If the other side told him to die, he had to hang himself. If he couldn't keep it, he would become the laughing stock of the world. Especially since he had made an oath in front of the emperor and all the ministers, he couldn't go back on his promise. Otherwise, everyone would look down on him. Wherever he went, there would be people pointing fingers at him and spitting spittle at him. He thought about it again, but he still did not dare agree. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and turned to Mo Chuan to say, "Emperor, if this queen is infected with a strange disease like the princess, are you willing to make a promise for this queen?" Chuan replied without any hesitation, "Not a promise, even if it is 10 promises, this one will agree." Mo Chuan looked at her and said, "This one is the emperor's promise." This one promise, one promise, one promise. Chen Mo Chen Chen Chen's words and said. She to him and to her with a faint smile and said, with, he, Chen, of it. And said. The officials saw this and were secretly envious. It was said that the emperor and the empress were in harmony. Now it seemed that the rumors were true. The two of them were so close that they could not tolerate the existence of others. Chapter 1401. She had thought that the person who loved her the most in this world was her father, but she never thought that he wouldn't even agree to a small promise. Compared to her royal cousin, her father was just too cold and heartless. She was disheartened and suddenly took out a knife from a guard's waist. With a flash of the knife, a strand of hair fell to the ground. That guard was shocked, not being able to react at all. Everyone cried out in surprise again as they watched Zhao Rong Junju hold the shining knife at her waist and hold it across her neck. "Zhao Rong, what are you doing? Quickly put down the knife." Duke Ning's heart was filled with fear. He wanted to charge forward and steal the knife, but he was afraid of hurting Zhao Rong. He was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. All right, isn't it just a promise? This duke will agree. Divine Dr. Gu, please quickly treat Zhao Rong. Facing his daughter's threat, he was helpless. He couldn't care about anything else and could only agree. Father, you really agree? Zhao Rong's eyes flashed with a look of joy. I agree. Duke Ning helplessly nodded. Divine Dr. Gu, my father has agreed to your promise. Quickly treat this princess is starting to feel itchy again. Zhao Rong threw down the knife on her waist and ran in front of Gu Qingze with a happy expression. She impatiently stretched out her left wrist, waiting for Gu Qingze to take her pulse. Gu Qingze did not look at Zhao Rong. His eyes were focused on Duke Ning's face and he had a thoughtful expression on his face. Chen Ning could see from his expression that he let out a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Strange, why did he have this kind of strange expression? But Gu Qingze's thoughts, she had never been able to guess them. He was like an unfathomable sea, only a small part of him was shown to outsiders. As for what he was thinking in his heart, only he knew. Gu Qingze stared at Duke Ning and said word by word, very well. Please remember this promise. This commoner will one day make Lord Duke fulfill today's promise. He did not know why, but when Duke Ning saw his calm eyes, he felt a strange chill run down his spine, going straight to his heart. He suddenly felt regret, but he had already said it. In front of the emperor and the ministers, he could not take it back, so he could only brace himself and say, Divine Dr. Gu is looking down on this duke too much. This duke's words are like a mountain, I will not go back on them. This is my duke's palace's token and I will give it to you now. If there is a day you need this duke to fulfill his promise, you can take this ring and the country will welcome you. After he said this, he took off a jade ring and placed it in Gu Qing's hand. This beautiful and generous speech won the unanimous applause of everyone present. Duke really has the courage and has the guts. He is our role model. Lord High Duke, your promise is as solid as a mountain. I admire you. Hearing the praises from the crowd, Duke Ning revealed a smile on his face. He couldn't conceal the pride in his heart. Gu Qingze played with the jasper thumb ring in his hand and wore it on his middle finger. The corners of his mouth curled up as he smiled faintly. This was the first time he had smiled since he entered the main hall. His appearance could only be considered delicate and not outstanding, but with this faint smile, it made everyone's eyes light up. Chapter 1402. Everyone couldn't help whispering to each other. Yeah, the divine Dr. Gu's medical skills are like a god, even he looks this good. Young and handsome, young and promising, he really is a talented person. Although he can't compare to the emperor, he can still be considered a tree in the forest, with an outstanding bearing. It would be good if my daughter was a few years older. It's a pity, a pity. Your daughter is in her budding age this year, how could it be a pity? Of course it's a pity. If my daughter was 15 years old this year, I would take the divine Dr. Gu as my son-in-law no matter what. That person said with wide eyes. My daughter is around the same age as the divine Dr. Gu. No way. I was the one who saw Dr. Gu first. This is not up to you. What if divine Dr. Gu takes a fancy to my daughter? Once the banquet is over, I'll bring this matter up to the divine Dr. Gu and recommend myself. You're taking advantage of others. The two ministers' faces turned red and their voices became louder and louder, almost as if they were going to quarrel. When Mo Chuan and Qin Ning heard this, they looked at each other, feeling this was very funny. Xiao Ru had already covered her lips and was secretly giggling. Gu Qingze also heard the two ministers arguing. The muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched and he secretly grinded his teeth, but his face was still as calm as before. I'll accept this token. Many thanks for Sir Duke's promise, he said in a soft voice. Duke Ning said, since it's like this, I ask the divine Dr. Gu to treat my daughter. He had a look of anticipation on his face. Gu Qingze raised his brows and said, although the princess' illness is strange, I don't need to personally make a move. My disciple has a special way of treating this illness, so as long as she writes a prescription, I guarantee the princess will be cured. When he finished speaking, everyone couldn't help revealing a surprised expression. They had only heard of the #1 divine doctor in the world, but they had never heard of him having a disciple with amazing medical skills. Hearing the divine doctor's tone, it seemed like he was very respectful of his disciple's medical skills. Could his disciple's medical skills be better than the divine doctor's? Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat. Her brows slightly knit as she looked at Gu Qingze with a puzzled expression. What did he mean? Gu Qingze raised his voice, disciple, why aren't you coming over to get the medicine for the princess? Everyone couldn't help but take a few glances at him, but they didn't see anyone following him. They couldn't help but look at each other in dismay, and the expressions on their faces became even more astonished. Could it be that his disciple knew how to become invisible? Your disciple? Duke Ning was also taken aback. He looked around and didn't see anyone. Is he waiting outside the palace? Is he waiting outside? Is he here? Gu Qingze shook his head, no need. Gu Qingze shook his head. No need. My disciple is right here. His face darkened. Why aren't you showing yourself? Do you want me to personally take action? After saying this, his right hand slammed down on the armrest. A pair of cold lightning-like eyes looked at Qin Ning. Everyone followed his line of sight, and their eyes widened as they thought to themselves, that's impossible, right? Could it be that the Empress was the disciple of the divine doctor? Then they saw Chen Ning slowly stand up from her chair and walk over to Gu Qingze. She gave a bow and her voice was as clear as a silver bell. The ministers all felt like something was wrong. It was like they had been struck by lightning as their faces turned into a mess. The prefectural officials all had a bad feeling. All of them looked as if they had been struck by lightning, and their faces were in a mess. Chapter 1403. But the Zhao Rong princess was not as shrewd as him. She immediately cried out in shock, "Impossible, this is impossible. How could that little fox spirit be the divine doctor's disciple? How could she have this kind of good luck? This was impossible." Chen Ning turned around to look at her. With a faint smile, she said in a teasing voice, "What does the princess think is impossible? Nothing is possible. You. How could you be the divine doctor's disciple?" The Zhao Rong princess went crazy with jealousy and her eyes turned red. The divine doctor's skills that Gu Qingze had displayed in the main hall had shocked everyone. He had become the most dazzling pearl in today's banquet, someone that everyone wanted to curry favor with. For this kind of dazzling person, if she could win him over and have him become her helper, it would show how different she was from the masses. So she was willing to lower her status and treat Gu Qingze in a pleasant manner. She even thought about something even further. After Gu Qingze cured her illness, she might as well use some tricks to firmly grasp his heart and make him bend his head to her and obey her every order. To deal with men, her master had taught her many methods, but she did not have time to use them on Mo Chuan. However, she believed that her master's method must be very effective. This ancient divine doctor was young and had an unapproachable look on his face. Presumably, he didn't even know what a woman was. He was simply a fresh, tender, and rare fruit. As long as she thought about it a little, he wouldn't fall for her. Of course, this was all in the future. She believed that with her appearance, methods, and charm, Gu Qingze would sooner or later fall under her skirt. But this dream of hers was too far away. It was so far away that she did not even have time to realize it before her beautiful dream was shattered. Then does the princess mean that you don't believe that the divine doctor is my master? Do you think that the divine doctor doesn't have the qualifications to be my master, or that I don't have the qualifications to be the divine doctor's disciple? Chen Ning was not angry. Rather, she asked her with a smile. The Zhao Rong princess did not even think as she loudly said, "Of course you don't have the qualifications. You're not worthy at all." Chen Ning nodded and said to Gu Qingze, "Master, others say that I don't have the qualifications to be your disciple. Why don't you kick your disciple out and take someone else with the qualifications?" Gu Qingze coldly said, "Very good. Since others look down on you, then you don't need to give her a prescription to treat her illness. Master is tired. Find a quiet place for Master. Master wants to have a good sleep. Everything else in your imperial palace is good. It's just that there are too many mice. They're so noisy that I can't sleep." "Yes, Master." Chen Ning pushed his chair and walked out. The two of them spoke as if there was no one else around them, causing everyone's jaws to drop. The image of Gu Qingze in their hearts was incomparably lofty, as unreachable as the immortals in the heavens. The Empress also had a respectable status, but the tone of the two people talking was not like that of a master and disciple, but the most ordinary conversation between two people of the same generation. Could they really be master and disciple? But it was not at all. However, the Empress did call the ancient divine physician as her teacher, and the ancient divine physician did not hesitate to call himself his teacher. There were those who were envious and those who were jealous, but the ones with the most complicated feelings were Duke Ning and the Zhao Rong princess. Chapter 1404. Especially Zhao Rong Junju. Her chest heaved up and down and her stomach was about to explode from anger. Not even in her dreams would she have thought that the person she begged and begged would be the fox spirit that she loathed the most. She wouldn't beg. Even if she was beaten to death, she wouldn't beg a single word from that slut. She would rather die from itching and have her skin rot than bow to her love rival. Duke Ning was more shrewd than his daughter and his thoughts were more complicated than his daughter's. With a thought, he quickly chased after her. Empress, Divine Dr. Gu, please wait a moment. What else does the Duke want? Gu Qingze coldly looked at him. Just now my daughter was too shocked, so she spoke incoherently. What she meant was that the Empress being accepted as a disciple by the Divine Dr. Gu is a blessing that others can't even beg for. It truly makes one envious. This Duke will first congratulate the two of you. One can find a master and the other can find a good disciple. This is truly a cause for celebration. Duke Ning's face was filled with joy and words came out of his mouth. He cupped his hands at the two of them and the smile on his face was very sincere. As for what he was thinking in his stomach, no one knew. When the ministers heard Duke Ning's words, they finally reacted. Now was the best time to curry favor with the Empress and the Divine Dr. Gu. Thus, everyone crowded around them and congratulated the two of them. There was only the Princess Xiao Rong standing on the outside. She gritted her teeth as she stared at Chen Ning who was surrounded by everyone. She was clearly the main character today. This kind of glory, it should have all been hers. But she had not tasted the glory of being the main character at all. Rather she had lost all her face and she had a strange disease called psoriasis. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She almost crushed her teeth from gritting them. Xiao Rong, come here. Why aren't you congratulating the Empress and the Divine Dr. Gu? When the Princess Xiao Rong's stomach was hurting from her anger, Duke Ning pushed everyone aside and grabbed her hand, bringing her in front of Chen Ning. Congratulate. Why should I congratulate them? Father, why are you helping an outsider today? I am your daughter and today is your daughter's birthday. They aren't congratulating your daughter and are instead trying to flatter someone else. You want this princess to congratulate them? The Princess Xiao Rong pushed Duke Ning away and angrily shouted. She was used to being the ruler and having everyone revolve around her. How could she endure this kind of cold treatment? Duke Ning couldn't wait to stuff her mouth with something. Why was this girl's brain so stupid? How could she say such offensive words out loud? As expected, many people began to reveal looks of dissatisfaction towards the Princess Xiao Rong with eyes filled with ridicule. Duke Ning stomped his foot in exasperation and shouted, "If you say another word of nonsense, I'll put you under house arrest and you won't be allowed to step out of the manor." The Princess Xiao Rong shouted, "Father." Chen Ning. Duke Ning grabbed her and whispered in her ear, "Idiot, the treatment is more important. We still have a long way to go in the future." Xiao Rong Junju froze for a moment, then understood. She couldn't help but call out again, "Father." However, the meaning and tone of these two words were completely different. Duke Ning gave her a look and pulled her into the crowd, arriving in front of Chen Ning and Gu Qingze. Chapter 1405. Empress, Divine Dr. Gu, congratulations to the two of you. The Empress truly has good luck, being accepted as a disciple by the Divine Dr. Gu. Rong is filled with envy. Xiao Rong Princess' words were very sincere. Her eyes had turned red from envy and jealousy. Seeing him today, she finally understood how famous the title of the #1 divine doctor in the world was. If she could walk out with the title of the #1 divine doctor's disciple, perhaps she would be even more famous than the Xiao Rong princess. After all, she was only a princess of the West Chu country. If she left West Chu, she was nothing. As for Gu Qingze, he was the #1 divine doctor in the world. No matter where he went, he would be the target of everyone's flattery. As long as she was by Gu Qing's side, she would be shrouded in glory and halo. Unfortunately, the best spot had been taken by that vixen, that little slut. Why was the heavens so unfair? All the good things were given to her without any hesitation. Her royal cousin, the #1 divine doctor in the world. They all treated her like a treasure, completely ignoring her who was better than that little slut in every aspect. Zhao Rong Princess thought about it and the fire in her heart began to burn again. However, she thought of her father's words and suppressed the fire in her heart, maintaining a smile on her face. Only this smile was even uglier than crying. Duke Ning couldn't help glaring at her again. He gave 2 coughs and attracted everyone's eyes to him. Empress, just now, the ancient divine doctor said that you have special knowledge in treating psoriasis. They say that a good teacher produces a good disciple. Since the ancient divine doctor praises the Empress so much, then your medical skills must be very good. This subject wants to ask the Empress to write a prescription for Xiaorong. As long as Xiaorong's illness is cured, this subject will be filled with gratitude towards the Empress. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. Sir Duke, this princess has only been apprenticed to a master recently and my master's medical skills have not even touched the surface. How could he cure an illness or give a prescription? You saying this really makes this princess blush with shame. What she said was the truth. In terms of medical skills, she didn't even know how to take a pulse, so she really didn't know anything. But in everyone's ears, it sounded like she was being modest and evasive. Duke Ning was originally doubtful of her medical skills, but after hearing her words, he felt that she had some skills. The Empress is too modest, this minister believes the divine Dr. Gu's recommendation. If he says you can do it, then you can do it. I ask the Empress to give this minister face and save my daughter. Chen Ning thought, you're saying it better than singing and you're giving me face, what face do you have? Chen Ning thought, did you forget how you mocked me in front of everyone before? It was like Duke Ning had completely forgotten his previous attitude of looking down on Chen Ning. He was respectful and trying to curry favor with her. Seeing the completely different Duke Ning in front of her, Chen Ning couldn't help admiring his deep cultivation. He obviously hated her to the bone, but he didn't show any of it on his face. Even a micro-expression expert like her couldn't find any flaws. Compared to her father, Xiaorong Juanju's superficial skills were nothing. Xiaorong Princess' acting skills were simply too weak compared to her father's. Wu, the princess is the Duke's beloved daughter and has a deep relationship with the Empress Dowager. If this princess can save her, then this princess will try to save her. Only this princess' medical skills are limited, so the prescription I give might not be appropriate. How about this, if the Duke trusts this princess, then this princess will give you a prescription. Chapter 1406. Duke Ning said in a happy voice, many thanks Empress. Someone come, quickly bring the ink and paper. Xiaorong Princess gave a snort in her heart as she secretly thought, what kind of bullshit prescription are you giving me? The medicine you give me, if it's not poison, it'll be stinky. If this princess eats it, I'll be poisoned to death. Chen Ning raised her pen and quickly wrote down a prescription. She did not give the prescription to Duke Ning, but rather she gave it to Gu Qingze. Master, can you help your disciple take a look and see if this prescription can be used? This was truly beautiful. Mo Chuan looked at Chen Ning with a look of praise, already guessing her intentions. As expected, Duke Ning and Xiaorong Princess focused their attention. They did not believe Chen Ning, but they believed Gu Qingze. If Chen Ning's prescription was not seen by Gu Qingze, they would not take it. Not bad, this prescription of yours is not bad. Gu Qingze looked at the prescription while nodding. It seems like your master did not teach you for nothing, the prescription is even better than your master thought. Sir Duke, I think we should use this prescription. As long as she takes it for a month, your daughter's psoriasis will be completely cured and it will not come back. Really? Duke Ning and Princess Xiao Rong were both surprised and happy. The two of them said in unison. Gu Qing's face sunk. You don't believe me. All right, let the princess take this prescription and take the medicine. If her illness is not cured after a month, Gu Qingze, will have my head here. The High Duke can come and chop it off any time. We don't dare, we don't dare. Duke Ning quickly said, believing Gu Qing's words even more. He stared at the prescription in Gu Qing's hand, wishing he could reach out and take it. Then give this prescription to me. He reached out to take the prescription. Wait a minute. However, Gu Qingze withdrew his hand and narrowed his eyes at him. Duke, if this prescription can cure your beloved daughter's illness, what will you do then? Duke Ning was stunned for a second before saying with a smile, Dr. Gu, are you worried that this Duke will go back on his words? As long as Xiao Rong is cured, this Duke will owe you a promise. When you come with the jasper ring, that will be when this Duke fulfills his promise. Gu Qingze nodded and said, Sir Duke is truly a trustworthy person, but this prescription was not written by me, but rather by my disciple. You gave me a promise, but what benefits did you give my disciple? Duke Ning knit his brows. Dr. Gu, what do you mean? Duke Ning knit his brows. Dr. Gu, what do you mean? The Tao can't be easily passed down, and the prescription can't be created for nothing. If the High Duke wants this prescription, you'll have to exchange it with something. After Gu Qingze finished speaking, High Duke Ning almost laughed out of anger. He had asked for a promise that was worth more than 1,000 pieces of gold from him, but he was still not satisfied. He used the name of his disciple to ask for more benefits. Was there anyone more shameless than him, Gu Qingze, in this world? He had never seen or heard of such a thing. Xiao Rong Princess was so angry that her face turned red. If it wasn't for Duke Ning holding on to her hand, she would have already shouted out. Chen Ning never thought that Gu Qingze would do this. She thought that her master was truly greedy. If a promise wasn't enough, she didn't know what else he wanted. May I ask the Empress, what do you want this minister to take out to exchange for this prescription? Chapter 1407. He was afraid that Gu Qingze would open his mouth wide and ask for a second promise. If that happened, he would really spit out blood. Chen Ning's eyes turned and she suddenly understood Gu Qingze's meaning. He wasn't giving her anything she wanted, but he was giving her a chance to get whatever she wanted. This was because she had firmly grasped the weakness of Duke Ning and Zhao Rong Junju. As long as she wanted something, they would definitely give it to her. But she really didn't want anything. What exactly did Gu Qingze want her to take from them? Ah! That's right, that's right. A light flashed in her mind and she suddenly thought of something. Since Sir Duke is asking, this princess will not be polite. This princess saw that the snow silk robe my master gave to the princess consort was not bad. If the princess is willing to part with it, this princess wants that snow silk robe. She said with a faint smile. What? Snow silk robe. I won't give it, I definitely won't give it. Zhao Rong Princess' face fell and she immediately shook her head in rejection. That snow silk robe was a birthday gift from the ancient divine doctor. Not to mention the fact that it was priceless and was invulnerable, the most important thing was that when she walked out wearing it, it was very eye-catching. As long as she told others that this snow silk robe was a gift from the #1 divine doctor in the world, wouldn't those people vomit blood from envy? If she returned to her sect, her senior brothers and sisters would be filled with extreme jealousy towards her. All right then. Since the princess is unwilling, I can only take back this recipe. I don't dare not listen to master's words. Chen Ning gave an uncaring smile and reached out to take the recipe from Gu Qingze's hand. Zhao Rong Princess gave a snort, not caring at all. Who knows if that recipe is real or fake and if it can cure this princess' illness? She muttered in a small voice. However, Chen Ning's ears were very sharp, so she could hear every single word. It seems like the princess still has doubts about this princess' medical skills. Since it's like this princess will tell you about the princess' illness. Chen Ning raised her brows and slowly said, the cause of this strange illness was 3 years ago. At that time, you had a strange illness and almost lost your life, isn't that right? Zhao Rong princess gave a snort. Everyone in the capital city knows about this matter, so what skill do you have? Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and continued to say, at that time, the princess took the elixir and your strange illness was cured. After 3 years, it didn't come back, so you thought you were cured. But in reality, the strange illness was suppressed by the elixir and could not break out, so it slowly changed. It caused your qi to stagnate and heat to turn into fire, causing your heart fire to overflow and the heat poison in your body. After a long time, it turned into psoriasis and it finally broke out after 3 years. Her string of medical terms caused Xiao Rong Junju and Duke Ning to stare blankly. The two of them did not really understand and only felt that it was unfathomable. It was very similar to the medical terms that the imperial physicians of the Imperial Academy of Medicine often used. The ministers in the hall were also stunned, especially those who knew a little about medicine. They were full of admiration. He couldn't tell that the Empress's medical skills were really amazing. Sure enough, a great teacher produces a great disciple, and a strong general has no weak soldiers. Chapter 1408. Her words were very clear and logical. Not only were the ministers stunned, even Mo Chuan and Gu Qingze were stunned. Especially Mo Chuan. If it wasn't for the fact that he understood her better than anyone else, he really would have thought that she was an experienced divine doctor that could bring people back to life. Gu Qingze looked up at the serious Chen Ning. He felt this was both funny and admirable. The way this lass talked about medical knowledge was really intimidating. Even he himself could not make up a lie that was as convincing as hers. This was because the Zhao Rong princess' illness was not some psoriasis at all. It was just something he made up to scare people. But other people did not know this. Hearing Chen Ning's words, how could they doubt her medical skills? Even the Duke Ning and the Zhao Rong princess were stunned hearing this. I asked the Empress, how can this illness be cured? Duke Ning's eyes lit up. He was already 100% convinced by Chen Ning's words. Chen Ning said in a very serious voice, to cure this illness, you can't use ointment. That can only cure the symptoms and not the root cause. If you want to cure the psoriasis, you have to treat it from the inside and get rid of the heat and evil wind. Only then can it be completely cured. So the medicine I gave the princess only had 2 ingredients. The first was Chinese gold thread and the second was snake skin. Snake. What is a snake? The Zhao Rong princess couldn't help asking. She had heard of Chinese gold thread before, but this snake skin, this was the first time she had heard of it. Chen Ning softly said, snake skin, it's the skin that a snake sheds. What? Snake skin. Zhao Rong Juanju's face darkened. When she thought of that long snake, her throat itched and she almost vomited. Father, I definitely won't eat that disgusting thing. Even if I die, I won't eat it. She forcefully stomped her feet. Chen Ning looked at her, Princess, good medicine is bitter, not to mention the fact that this snake skin is an ingredient. It is the skin of a black-browed snake, so it has scales and a bit of a fishy smell. Snakes are cold creatures and their skin is the coldest of the coldest, which is the bane of the heat in the princess body. As for Chinese gold thread, it has a bitter taste and a cold nature. It has the effect of clearing heat and detoxifying heat. My prescription is to grind Chinese gold thread and snake skin into powder and then drink it with warm wine. As for how much of the snake skin and Chinese gold thread to use, it is all written in this prescription. If you use the wrong amount, it will be harmful. Princess, you need to carefully consider whether you want to use the snow silk garment to exchange for this prescription. However, I don't have much patience and I can't wait too long. If I can't obtain this snow silk garment, I won't care about it. At that time, even if you give it to me with both hands, I might not accept it. She leisurely took the prescription and looked at Zhao Rong with a smile that was not a smile. You! Zhao Rong Juanju's heart was filled with fire. She couldn't go up or down. She was about to choke to death. She forcefully glared at Chen Ning. Seeing her smiling face, she really wanted to reach out and scratch that damn smiling face to pieces. Duke Ning's eyes were glued to the prescription and he said without any hesitation, "Rong, why aren't you taking out the snow silk clothing and giving it to the Empress?" In his eyes, there was nothing more precious than this prescription. As long as he obtained this prescription, he would be able to cure Zhao Rong and his strange illness. As long as his illness was cured, what was a trivial snow silk clothing? At that time, wouldn't he be able to have whatever he wanted? Chapter 1409. Father, I won't give it to you. This was given to your daughter by the ancient divine doctor. Your daughter will definitely not give it to someone else. Zhao Rong wanted to say in her heart that she would rather burn this snow silk robe than give it to the little fox spirit that she hated the most. Duke Ning fiercely glared at her, "You useless thing." Zhao Rong Princess was about to explode with anger. Now even her own father was not helping her and wanted to steal her snow silk robe. Rong, do you want to hold this snow silk robe and have your skin rot to death? If you die, what use is there even if you keep this snow silk robe? Can your life not be compared to a single robe? Duke Ning took a breath and spoke in a slow voice. Zhao Rong Princess' heart turned cold. She finally understood that her father was reminding her that there would be a long time in the future and saving her life was the most important thing. In the end, this snow silk robe would still fall into her hands. She finally reluctantly took out the snow silk robe and gave it to Chen Ning. Empress, if your medicine can't cure my illness, you have to return this robe to me. She tightly held on to the snow silk robe, not willing to let go. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said, "Who do you think this princess is that I would covet your things? Only this robe is my master's beloved item, so I just want to return it to its rightful owner. As for your illness, you just need to put your heart in your stomach. If you take the medicine and it can't cure your illness, I'll compensate you with 2 more snow silk robes." Zhao Rong Princess finally let go. Seeing Chen Ning take away the snow silk robe, it was like her heart had been dug out. Because she had not just lost a snow silk robe, she had also lost her face, dignity, glory, and glory. For a moment, she really wanted to take it back, but thinking of that itch, she suppressed this thought in her heart. Father was right, there would be a long time in the future. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Vixen, you little b*tch, just you wait. One day, you'll take everything from me and I'll make you spit it all out and give it back to me. Princess, you have to take care of this recipe. If you accidentally drop it, you won't have a second snow silk robe to exchange for this recipe. Chen Ning smiled as she placed the recipe in Zhao Rong Princess' hands, casually giving her a small mocking sentence. Many thanks, Empress. Zhao Rong Princess held the recipe and stared at Chen Ning. Thinking of the snow silk robe, she felt a heart-wrenching pain, but she still had to thank her. Chen Ning revealed a smile. She turned to Gu Qingze and said, "Master, I'll send you to rest." Gu Qingze nodded and suddenly raised his head to look at Duke Ning. "Duke Ning, your beloved daughter's illness cannot be delayed. You should go home and take your medicine as soon as possible." "Yes, yes, yes." Thank you for your reminder, Divine Dr. Gu. I will bring her back to the residence immediately and get the medicine according to the prescription. Once Duke Ning obtained the recipe, he wished he could grow wings and fly back to his palace. Hearing Gu Qing's words, he couldn't help it. Many thanks to the Emperor and Empress Dowager for arranging this banquet for Zhao Rong. This minister is filled with gratitude. Only Zhao Rong's illness cannot be delayed, so this minister will take Zhao Rong away first. After Zhao Rong's illness is cured, this minister will enter the palace to thank the Emperor and Empress Dowager. Mo Chuan gave an sound and said, the illness is more important. Duke Ning can return to his palace, this one will not blame you. Everyone can disperse. Chapter 14:10. So the ministers all left the banquet and left the palace. Although all kinds of things had happened in the middle of the banquet and everyone was only half full, the good show they had seen was enough. It was enough for them to lick their tongues after the meal. Duke Ning's face was black as he dragged Zhao Rong Junju, who had lost all face, out of the imperial palace. Zhao Rong turned around and looked in the direction Mo Chuan left in. Her heart was still reluctant to leave. Stupid girl, what are you looking at? Can't you see that the Emperor's thoughts are not on you? The more you pester him, the less he likes you. Duke Ning saw that there was no one around and couldn't help reminding his daughter in a low voice. Zhao Rong bit her lips and her eyes filled with tears. Father, you clearly know your daughter's feelings. You promised your daughter that you would make your daughter the Empress, but that little fox spirit. Shut up. What kind of place is this? How can you slander the Empress? Have you forgotten your own status? What Empress, is she worthy? She is just a servant, a little slut that Chu Xiaoyang doesn't want. What qualifications does she have to be the Empress? She is not worthy of royal cousin at all. She doesn't deserve it, but do you think you do? You've made such a big fool out of yourself today, do you still want to ascend to the Empress throne? Stop dreaming. Duke Ning's words were very cruel and ruthless, but he had to say it, otherwise his daughter would not come to her senses. Even if your daughter can't become the Empress, I won't let that little fox spirit sit comfortably in that position. Father, you're so capable, you must have a way to help your daughter vent her anger, right? Zhao Rong Junju pulled on Duke Ning's sleeve and raised her face to plead. Duke Ning did not deny it, we'll discuss it when we return. With a wave of his sleeve, he threw Zhao Rong's princess aside. A look of joy flashed on Zhao Rong's face. She knew that her father had agreed. Humph, Chen Ning, Chen Ning, I can't deal with you, but I still have my father. You will soon have a taste of how strong my father's methods are. In the Qing and palace, all the ministers left in the blink of an eye. Chen Ning also pushed Gu Qingze into the back hole. She knew what Mo Chuan's gaze meant. As expected, as soon as they entered the back hall, they saw Mo Chuan's tall and handsome figure appear in front of them. Gu Qingze frowned and said with displeasure, Little girl Qin, I asked you to find a quiet place for me to rest. What did you bring me here for? Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said, Master, do you not have anything you want to say to me? No. Master only wants to sleep right now and don't want to talk. Gu Qingze said crossly. Mo Chuan walked forward until he was in front of Gu Qingze. He suddenly gave him a deep bow. What is the emperor doing? Being so polite to this commoner cannot accept this. His attitude towards Mo Chuan had always been lukewarm, not salty, not light. He would often mock and ridicule him. Mo Chuan was already used to his tone. In the past, he would be angry and annoyed, but now his heart was completely calm. Mo Chuan was already used to his tone. Before, he would be angry and annoyed, but now his heart was completely calm. Divine Dr. Gu, thank you for everything you've done today. He stood up and sincerely thanked Gu Qingze. What did I do? Gu Qingze asked. Chapter 14:11. Gu Qingze gave a snort and turned his head away. He said in a cold voice, "None of the things I've done have been for you. I don't need you to thank me." He had an unapproachable look on his face. Mo Chuan was not angry and continued to say with a faint smile, "No matter what, I have benefited greatly. You cured my mother's illness and cured her old illness. I am filled with endless gratitude. Also, you helped Ning vent her anger." "Wait a minute, I helped that Chen girl vent her anger, not for you. I just don't like people bullying my disciple. She is my disciple, so only I can bully her. Outsiders want to bully my, Gu Qingze's disciple, so it's already polite of me not to skin her. You better tell that princess cousin of yours that if she dares to provoke my disciple again, I won't be this polite anymore." If it was before, Mo Chuan would have been filled with jealousy when he heard this, but now his heart was calm. Not only was he not angry, he even had a smile on his face. "Your disciple is also my wife, so there is nothing wrong with me thanking the divine doctor, right?" he said with a smile. Gu Qingze looked at him, like this was the first time he had met him. He suddenly had a feeling that he could not see through this young emperor. He had an indescribable pride in front of Mo Chuan in the past, but now he suddenly felt that the other side was not as weak as he had imagined, nor was he as useless as he had imagined. He was like a needle wrapped in cotton. Normally he did not show his sharpness, and as long as you did not use strength to hold it, you would not feel any harm. But if you use strength, then you would just be asking for trouble. "Speak, you had that Chen girl bring me here. Other than thanking me, what else do you want to say? If you have something to say, say it quickly. After you're done, father still needs to go to sleep." In order to hide the faint unease in his heart, Gu Qingze deliberately spoke in a rough voice. "It's not that I have something to say, it's that she has something to say to you." Mo Chuan revealed a faint smile. He looked at Qin Ning with deep meaning before turning around. His yellow robe fluttered in the wind as he left the palace, leaving Qin Ning and Gu Qingze alone in the back palace. What does he mean by this? Gu Qingze looked at Mo Chuan's leaving back with a stunned expression, not daring to believe that he would just leave like this. Didn't this fellow always treat her as a love rival? Whenever he saw her alone with Shen Lass, he would act as if she was going to steal his woman away. His feeling was not wrong, he indeed had this idea. Gu Qingze rubbed his nose and looked at Qin Ning. Thinking about how she had agreed to go to the godly Dr. Valley with him to study medicine for a year, he suddenly felt a little guilty towards Mo Chuan. It was because of this guilt that he wrote the prescription for Empress Dowager Zhou today. It was to help Empress Dowager Zhou adjust her body and ease the pain. It was because of this guilt that he wrote the prescription for Empress Zhou. "Shen girl, what do you want to say to me?" Chen Ning smiled. "Of course it's to thank master. There's no need to thank me. I just can't bear to see anyone bully you. In the future, if anyone dares to find trouble with you again, just tell me. If they bully my, Gu Qingze's, disciple, do they still put me in their eyes?" Chapter 14:12. Right now the news of her being accepted as the world's #1 godly doctor's disciple had spread throughout the capital. Gu Qingze's name was known throughout the world. No matter where he went, he would cause a stir. Looking at the 4 countries, he probably didn't have a single enemy. Because people ate all sorts of food, it was hard to avoid getting sick. Even if they didn't get sick, their family and relatives would get sick one day. Everyone had to beg Gu Qingze, so no one dared to offend him and no one dared to offend him. Everyone wanted to curry favor with him when they saw him. Today at the Anqing Palace Hall, he was like the moon surrounded by the stars, which was evident. The so-called a person's name was like a tree's shadow. Going out with the name of the godly doctor's disciple was like carrying a treasured sword. No matter where she went, she would be unimpeded and no one would dare make things difficult for her. Perhaps if this matter was passed to the Purple Heaven Pavilion, they would have to weigh the severity of this matter. She never thought that Gu Qingze would have such a deep plan for her. Understanding this point, Chen Ning's gratitude towards Gu Qingze increased by another level. "Master!" she called out. Her voice was a bit choked up. Even with her sharp tongue, she didn't know what words to use to express her gratitude. Because no matter what words she used, they would all become useless. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes at her. "If you want to thank me, then don't say any nonsense. Hurry up and find a place for your master to sleep, I'm tired to death." He gave a large yawn after saying this. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. She gently pushed against the wall and opened a secret door. Then she pushed Gu Qingze inside. Behind the secret door was a quiet room. It was spacious and quiet. There was a bed, a couch, a table, and a chair. There was even a pot of fragrant tea on the table. "Master, you can rest here. If there's anything you need, just pull this rope and someone from the palace will come in to serve you. I'm someone from a rural village, so I'm used to being free. I don't need anyone to serve me, unlike you who were born with a golden spoon in your mouth. Everything is at your fingertips and food is at your fingertips. Your master can't enjoy this kind of fortune." Gu Qingze curled his lips and said in a sarcastic manner. Chen Ning was stunned. She felt like his words were mocking her and Imo Chuan, but thinking about it, it wasn't like it. It was more like he was mocking himself. She suddenly thought of her master's background in the rumors. If that legend was true, then her master should also be considered a golden branch in jade leaf. However, he didn't even get to see his biological father. From the day he was born, he was abandoned, and his mother committed suicide in front of his biological father's door. A few days after he was born, he was thrown into the moat when he was still an infant. If it wasn't for his great fortune, the little baby back then would have drowned long ago, and there wouldn't be the current Gu Qingze with godly medical skills. How did he manage to survive all these years? She looked at Gu Qingze with an indescribable feeling in her heart. However, she knew that Gu Qingze was proud and conceited. He had never spoken a word about his past, and she was not familiar with him to the point where she could tell him everything. Even if she asked, he wouldn't tell her a single word. What's more, everyone has their own sorrows and unspeakable emotions. Just like him, didn't he have a lot of secrets? "All right. Master, you can rest now. I'll be going out first." Chapter 14:13. "Master, this item will be returned to its owner," she said with a smile. Gu Qingze looked down and his brows knit together. "Snow silk clothes. What do you mean by this?" "The snow silk clothes are master's treasure. I don't want this good treasure to fall into the hands of that bad princess." Chen Ning smiled as she blinked her eyes. Gu Qingze gave a snort and looked at Chen Ning. "What, you don't plan on burning it?" Chen Ning's face couldn't help turning a little red. She never thought that her subtle thoughts would be seen through by Gu Qingze. However, she didn't care about it and simply admitted, "Yes, I originally wanted to burn it. When I saw that master actually gave the snow silk robe that you gave to me to that bad princess, I was really angry. I was angry that I had a fake master who didn't give such a good thing to my disciple but to my disciple's enemy. Later, I saw such a wonderful play and realized master's ingenious design, so of course, I wasn't angry at master. It's just that I couldn't bear to see such a good thing being taken away by that bad princess, so I took it back from her and returned it to its original owner. Master, keep it safe. If you give it away again, your disciple might not be able to take it back for you." Gu Qingze stared at her. "You little girl, do you think I don't know what you're planning? Things that are given out are like water that has been thrown out, how can you take it back? Not to mention that this is the reward you received from the Zhao Rong princess, it wasn't given to you by me. It has nothing to do with me at all. If you don't like it being worn by someone, then you can just burn it. He threw the clothes back into Chen Ning's arms, not even looking at it. Chen Ning stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, Master, tell your disciple, does that bad princess really have psoriasis? I've never heard of this disease before. Could it be that Master did something to this clothes? Gu Qingze turned the mechanism and turned the chair into a couch. Then he comfortably laid down and softly said, You already know the answer. The world only knows that Master's medical skills are amazing, but I never thought that Master's methods of treating people would be even more amazing. I really can't compare. Master, what did you put on the clothes? How did the Zhao Rong princess stop itching after rubbing against the old locust tree? Did Master also do something to the tree? Chen Ning asked the question she had been suppressing in her heart for a long time. Gu Qingze closed his eyes. It's not anything amazing, it's just some itching powder. I didn't do anything to the tree, the old locust tree's bark has the effect of relieving itching, I didn't lie to her about this. Then her body will be covered in rashes, fish scales, and her skin will slowly rot, is that true? Of it. Gu Qingze said without any hesitation. Chen Ning revealed a smile. I never thought that Master's ability to deceive people would be #1 in the world. Even I almost believed your words. Zhao said, Chen, you Chen Li's back. The prescription you gave to that Zhao Rong Junju, snake slew, gold thread, you made it sound so real. That gold thread is extremely bitter, and the snake slew is salty and fishy. It must have been hard on her to have her eat these two things for a month. Chapter 14:14. Gu Qingze found this funny and angry. Zhao Rong princess offending you is really unlucky. She shouldn't have done this. She shouldn't have been blind and offended my master's disciple. She smiled and said, Master, you have to take care of these clothes for me. Take care of what? Gu Qingze stared at her. The itching powder on it. Does Master want me to be like Zhao Rong princess and make a fool of myself while hugging the old locust tree? Gu Qingze threw a bottle of medicine into her arms without even thinking. Sprinkle this on the clothes. Chen Ning smiled as she sprinkled the powder on the snow silk clothes. In her heart, she was thinking that her master's thoughts were really strange. He clearly wanted to give this clothes to her, but then he took it back and gave it to Zhao Rong princess. Then he deliberately gave her a prescription and made a request so that she could take it back from Zhao Rong princess. He had spent so much effort and made this snow silk clothes go around in a big circle, but it still ended up in her hands. But he did not admit that it was given to her, insisting that she had exchanged the prescription for it. She did not understand the reason, but it did not affect her gratitude towards Gu Qingze. After taking care of the snow silk clothes, she thought about how Zhao Rong princess had gone for wool and lost rice. She wanted to use the catnip to harm her, but she never thought that she would fall for Gu Qingze's trick and be covered in itching powder. She found it very funny. Take your clothes and leave, quickly leave. Your master needs to rest. Gu Qingze revealed an impatient expression as he waved his hand to drive them away. Chen Ning smiled and suddenly thought of something. She couldn't help looking back and asking, That's right, master, I think that Duke Ning's attitude today was a bit strange. It seems like he was even more worried about that prescription than Zhao Rong princess. What kind of reasoning is this? Could it be that he has the same illness as Zhao Rong princess? But that skin rash was clearly something you made up to deceive people. Gu Qingze's brows jumped up, but he did not say a word. Master, you said that Duke Ning had a strange illness. Could it be that the person with the skin rash was not Zhao Rong princess, but rather him? Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat and she blurted out. There was no expression on Gu Qing's face and he still did not say a word. That's right, it must be like this. That's why he was even more worried than Zhao Rong Princess and why he would agree to Master's request. He was not doing this for his daughter, but rather for himself. That old fox is truly sly. Although I thought he was evil, he was still a father to his daughter. I didn't think that he would be this kind. I didn't think. Chen Ning stomped her foot and thought of the performance that Duke Ning had put on in front of everyone. She had not seen through it at the time, but now that she thought about it, it was all fake and she couldn't help feeling disgusted. Gu Qingzi said faintly, he's no different from a beast to begin with. Chen Ning nodded, humph, he thinks that he can cure his illness with that prescription, he's dreaming. I made up that prescription to punish Xiao Rong Junju. Xiao. Then, Master, are you sure that he is suffering from psoriasis? Is there really such a strange disease in this world? Chen Ning asked in a curious voice. Chapter 14-15. Then Master, will you cure him? Chen Ning blinked her eyes. Gu Qingzi gave a snort, who is he to me? Why do I need to cure him? Do I owe him? Chen Ning stuck out her tongue, he owes Master a promise. I think Master must have a wish that needs him to fulfill. If he dies like this, wouldn't Master's promise be for nothing? Relax, I will definitely make him fulfill his promise before he dies. Gu Qingzi gritted his teeth and said word for word. His fingers on the armrest unknowingly tightened and his knuckles popped out, but he did not notice it at all. Chen Ning saw his reaction and her heart was filled with wonder. She couldn't help asking, Master, have you seen Duke Ning before? Of course not. Gu Qingzi shook his head. But I feel like Master hates him a lot, like you have a grudge with him from a previous life. Although Gu Qing's eyes were closed, Chen Ning still noticed his body language. His limbs were tense, his face was tense, and the veins on the back of his hands were popping out. This was a sign that he was desperately suppressing the anger in his heart. But thinking back to when Gu Qingzi and Duke Ning met, it was clearly the first time they met, so there was no mistake about this. Perhaps he owed me in his previous life, so I'm here to collect my debt from him in this life. Gu Qingzi suddenly revealed a smile, but that smile on his handsome face was very strange, making Chen Ning's heart skip a beat. Master. She muttered as if she had thought of something. You little girl, what nonsense are you spouting here? Get out, quickly get out for me. Gu Qingzi suddenly opened his eyes and actually lost his temper. Without saying anything else, he pressed the mechanism and the black chain flew out, wrapping around Chen Ning and accurately sending her out of the secret door. The black chain flew back with a schwa sound and the secret door closed with a ping sound. It was unknown when Mo Chuan had returned to the back hall. Seeing this, he flew over and supported Chen Ning. He anxiously asked, Ning, what's wrong? Chen Ning shook her head and said, It's nothing, I asked something I shouldn't have asked. Master lost his temper and kicked me out. She tilted her head and smiled. My master's temper is really bad. This is already the second time he's chased me away. Sigh, he's really lashing out at the slightest disagreement. It seems like I really have to work hard to learn martial arts from you. That way, the next time Master gets angry and chases me away, I can at least avoid him. Mo Chuan pinched her nose in a funny and angry manner. Now you know you need to work hard. Very good, from now on, you can practice martial arts with me every day. He thought, no. Oh, how about this, if you don't want to be his disciple, you can continue to make him angry. Who knows, he might expel you in a fit of anger, he added. Mo. Chen couldn't help laughing. Mo Chuan, you. Come, let's go back. Don't disturb my master's rest. She pulled Imo Chuan's hand and softened her steps. The two of them walked side by side. What she did not know was that after she and Imo Chuan left for a long time, Gu Qingze was still lying on the couch. His eyes were wide open as he expressionlessly looked at the carved beams above his head. His thoughts had floated to who knew where and no one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 14-16. Imo Chuan and Qin Ning returned to the Guanyu Palace. Xiao Ru had already prepared some fragrant soup for Qin Ning to bathe in. Young miss, this servant has prepared some water, so you should take a bath. This servant is worried that the cat mint smell is still there. Also, you drank that wine with the thorn mustard grass, what if it attracted the cat? Also, this servant will quickly burn the clothes you're wearing. Xiao Ru anxiously said. Qin Ning couldn't bear to reject her good intentions, so she nodded with a smile and walked into the bathroom. Xiao Ru was about to follow when Imo Chuan called out to her. Stop. Xiao Ru quickly turned around and carefully said, this servant is here. She still had a kind of respect for Imo Chuan from the bottom of her heart. She always lowered her head in front of Imo Chuan, not daring to take a deep breath. It was like Imo Chuan was a tiger that could eat her at any moment. Especially when Qin Ning wasn't by her side, she was even more worried. Imo Chuan saw her shrinking back like a quail and muttered in his heart. He had a gentle attitude towards her, but why was it that every time this girl saw him, it was like she was looking at a monster? If Ning saw this, she would definitely think that he was bullying her girl again. He cleared his throat and asked in a gentle voice, what is that cat mint thing? And what is the thorn mustard grass? When Xiao Ru heard this, the flames in her heart began to burn. The uneasiness and fear she felt towards Imo Chuan all flew away. She looked up with wide eyes and angrily said, "Ah, Emperor, you still don't know about this? That's right, you didn't come back last night, so of course you don't know. Last night, the young miss and this servant were together and this servant heard the cries of a wild cat outside the window. It was a very strange cry and this servant was very afraid. The young miss comforted this servant that it was fine and that cats were normal in spring, but this servant's heart was very anxious. When this servant opened the suitcase this morning to pick out clothes for the young miss, I found a brand new, beautiful dress like the moon. A dress like the moon." Imo Chuan's lips twitched and he almost broke out in laughter. This girl really needed to find a teacher for her to read a few books. Looking at her use of adjectives, it really was hard to describe. He gave a cough and calmly asked, and then? Xiao Ru began to blabber on, just like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube. She told everything that had happened. After she finished, she thought for a bit and added, the young miss said that she had already used peppermint powder to get rid of the smell of the catnip, but today in the Enchanting Palace, when the Zhao Rong princess came to toast the young miss, she pretended to be unsteady and had the young miss help her up. This servant clearly saw that she had sprinkled some powder into the young miss wine, so it must be the thorn mustard powder that the young miss was talking about, so this servant has been very worried. Emperor, if you don't have any other orders, this servant will go and burn the clothes that the young miss was wearing, to prevent the Zhao Rong princess from harming people again. After Imo Chuan heard this, Ning Chuan used Chuan show Ning's heart, he Chuan's e. His hands were clenched into fists and his face was expressionless, but the coldness coming from his eyes was enough to freeze all of Guan Osprey Palace. Xiao Ru shivered from the cold air. Xiao Ru was Xiao cold. Xiao Ning. Chapter 14-17. Xiao Ru's neck shrank. Seeing that Imo Chuan was not saying a word, she tiptoed over to the washroom. Opening the door, she quickly went in and patted her chest, feeling like she could finally breathe again. Imo Chuan never would have thought that Zhao Rong would have this kind of evil plan behind his back. It seemed like he had been too lenient with her. If it wasn't for Ning discovering this flaw, the result in the main hall today would have been unimaginable. He had always thought that Zhao Rong was young and willful. Her actions were because she was used to being arrogant, which was why she was so arrogant, making people feel disgusted. He never thought that her thoughts would be this evil. Not only did she hire someone to kill, she even thought of this kind of evil method. It was simply outrageous. Very good, Zhao Rong princess had tried to steal a chicken but ended up losing the rice used to lure it. She had lost face in front of so many eyes and made a fool of herself. She would never have the face to enter the palace again. Mother would not have an excuse to force him to take Zhao Rong as his concubine. As for Zhao Rong princess, Mo Chuan gave a cold smile. He had already thought of a way to deal with her. It wasn't that he didn't care about their sibling relationship, but rather Zhao Rong's actions had touched his bottom line and touched his reverse scale. He would not allow anyone to harm his most beloved woman at all. He definitely would not allow it. Shui Feng, he said in a cold voice. This subordinate is here. Shui Feng appeared out of nowhere and appeared in front of Mo Chuan with a dusty appearance. Go and do something for this one. Come closer to me. Mo Chuan whispered a few orders into Shui Feng's ear. Shui Feng's face fell. His usually calm face revealed a shocked expression, thinking that he had heard wrong. Emperor, your meaning is? He asked in an uncertain voice. Follow this one's orders. Mo Chuan coldly said. But. Shui Feng's forehead was covered in sweat. He stuttered as he said, this is not a small matter. Can the emperor think twice before acting? He thought that the emperor was truly angry this time, otherwise he would not have given him this kind of order. It wasn't that he wanted to disobey, but if this matter was done, the implications would be too big. Mo Chuan's face sunk as he said, are you the master or is this one the master? When was it your turn to criticize this one's actions? Shui Feng, do you still want your head? Shui Feng knelt down on one knee and boldly said, Emperor, if this matter is known by the Empress Dowager, the consequences would be very serious. Mo Chuan coldly looked at him and said, very good, Shui Feng, your courage is becoming bigger and bigger, even daring to disobey this one's orders. It seems like this one has spoiled you too much these years. His tone became heavier and heavier, making Shui Feng break out in a cold sweat. He quickly said, this subordinate does not dare, this subordinate does not dare. His voice became heavier and Shui Feng heard this and Feng is as. Shui Feng's back was covered in a cold sweat. He knew that Mo Chuan was determined this time and would not let Zhao Rong princess go. This Zhao, this one. This. Of the. I. The habit of being a secret guard for many years was that he had to listen to his master's orders. Shui Feng gritted his teeth as he agreed. Emperor, do you want master to bring the proof back? He asked in a trembling voice. Chapter 14:18. Shui Feng's body couldn't help trembling. Mo Chuan paused and then said, for the sake of Duke Ning and her dead mother, you have to act quickly, don't let her feel any pain. Also, leave her corpse intact. This matter must be done in secret, you can't let anyone know that it was you who did it and you can't let anyone see your whereabouts. If the Empress Dowager hears this one will hold you responsible. His voice was very strict. Yes. This subordinate understands. Shui Feng's face turned serious and his body swayed, disappearing without a trace. Mo Chuan looked in the direction Shui Feng left in and a complicated look flashed on his face. His heart was filled with guilt towards Empress Dowager Zhou. But he definitely could not continue to tolerate Zhao Rong. In fact, he had already given Zhao Rong several chances, but Zhao Rong did not change at all. Rather, she became even worse, becoming even more ruthless. He knew that once Shui Feng left, it would be hard for Zhao Rong to survive. According to what he knew, the guards of Duke Ning's palace did not have any strong martial arts experts. With Shui Feng's skills, it would be easy for him to avoid the guards of Duke Ning's palace, and Zhao Rong's martial arts were not worth mentioning. He was not worried that Shui Feng would not be able to complete his mission, but rather that Empress Dowager Zhou would not be too sad after hearing this news. It was a good thing that Gu Qingzhou was still in the palace. With him taking care of his mother's body, he could be assured. Mo Chuan was silently thinking when he suddenly heard Qin Ning's voice from behind him. "What are you thinking about? Why are you so lost in thought?" He turned around and saw that her crow feather hair was still wet, making her face look like a snow-white lotus that had just come out of the water. It was crystal clear, and her translucent skin had a faint jade-like luster as she looked at him in thought. He was lost in thought and did not even notice when she came out. Mo Chuan smiled as he came forward to grab her hand. "Why didn't you dry your hair before coming out? It's easy for you to catch a cold like this." Chen Ning did not reply. Her black and white eyes looked at him without blinking, making his heart skip a beat. "What are your eyes staring so wide for? Come, I'll carry you back to your room." He pretended to casually reach out and picked her up, walking to their room with large steps. After entering the room, he walked in front of the bed and gently placed her down on the soft bed. Xiao Ru had already made the bed very thick and soft. There was a red embroidered quilt on it that was embroidered with mandarin ducks. The embroidery was very exquisite, making the mandarin ducks look very lifelike. Mo Chuan never liked red, always feeling that this color was gaudy and vulgar. He also felt that pictures of mandarin ducks were vulgar, but he didn't know why. Under the light of the candlelight, he felt that this red mandarin duck brocade was filled with an indescribable joy, making his mood brighten up. Xiao Xiao is really becoming more and more considerate. Ning Ning's Feng's heart. Xiao Ru Xiao Xiao Chen's Feng. Chen Ti and Xiao Xiao Chen Ti. Shout help, but Xiao 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 Chin T. Mo Chuan's heart skipped a beat. With a wave of his sleeve, a gust of wind flew out and the two doors closed with a bang. There were two small clusters of flames burning in his eyes. That scorching gaze almost melted her. Chapter 14:19. Mo Chuan, did you send Shui Feng to kill Zhao Rong, princess? When he was prepared to lean over and kiss her, Chen Ning suddenly spoke up. Mo Chuan's body slightly trembled, but he did not say a word. He slowly let go of her hand and a dark cloud suddenly flashed in his heart. His heart was filled with mixed feelings and he couldn't describe what he was feeling. With Zhao Rong's actions, it wouldn't be a pity even if she died 10,000 times. But when he thought of her mother and Empress Dowager Zhou's relationship and how her father Duke Ning supported Empress Dowager Zhou in the past, supporting him to ascend the throne, he was filled with contradictions. Zhao Rong's crimes were indeed unforgivable, but no matter what, considering the relationship between Empress Dowager Zhou and Duke Ning, he should give her a path to live. But for her safety, he still made his decision and gave Shui Feng a death order. Ning, this matter has nothing to do with you. Zhao Rong only has herself to blame. If she didn't keep trying to harm you, I wouldn't have thought of this. Mo Chuan knew he couldn't hide it from her, so he admitted it. Ai. Chen Ning closed her eyes and gave a faint sigh. When she was wearing her clothes in the room, she could vaguely hear the sounds of people talking in the yard. So she looked out the window and saw Mo Chuan and Shui Feng talking. The two of them were speaking in low whispers, so she couldn't hear a single word. But she could see the cold look in Mo Chuan's eyes and Shui Feng's frightened expression. She was very smart and could guess most of it after thinking about it for a bit. In this kind of situation, How could she still have the heart to be intimate with Mo Chuan? Mo Chuan, when you gave Jue Feng this order, did you think of the consequences? She looked up and looked at Mo Chuan with disapproval. Consequences? I don't care about the consequences. I only know that as long as she dies, there won't be anyone chasing after you in this world, and there won't be anyone who will use this kind of sinister scheme to harm you. Ning, you don't need to plead for her, you've never been this kind of woman. How Zhao Rong treats you, you know it better than me. Mo Chuan looked at her and said word for word, Ning, people don't need me and I won't offend them. Zhao Rong, this time, I can't bear it anymore. You can't bear it anymore. Mo Chuan, don't forget that you are the ruler of a country, you have to bear what normal people can't bear. Ning, what do you mean? You don't agree with what I did? Chen Ning nodded, of course I don't agree. There are 100 good ways to deal with Zhao Rong, but you chose the worst one. Ning, Zhao Rong, what Ning said, Ning, said, Ning, But what do you think will happen if something really happens to Zhao Rong? There won't be any consequences. I have already told Jue Feng to not leave a single trace and not let anyone see his tracks. I believe in Jue Feng's skills, he can definitely do it, so no one will know that this matter is related to me. Mother will not know, and Duke Ning will not know. Chapter 1420. There shouldn't be a lot of people in the world that can do this, right? And among these few people, how many of them have grudges with Zhao Rong Princess and are in the capital city right now? Now that I think about it, the identity of the murderer should be obvious. After Chen Ning said this, Mo Chuan was stunned. He had thought that Jue Feng would not have any clues, but he never thought that this clue would be the most obvious clue. Damn! Why didn't I think of this earlier? Wait a minute, I'll immediately send people to bring Jue Feng back. I hope it's not too late, I hope Jue Feng hasn't made a move yet. Mo Chuan's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly stood up and prepared to summon the hidden guards. He finally realized that he had made a very serious mistake. Chen Ning was right, if Zhao Rong was really killed by Jue Feng, the first person everyone would suspect would not be him, but rather her. Mo Chuan, don't be in a rush to summon Jue Feng. I think Jue Feng won't succeed and Zhao Rong should be fine. She pulled his hand. Why are you so sure? You don't know, but Jue Feng is very familiar with the Duke Ning Palace. There are no experts in the Duke Ning Palace that can compare to Jue Feng, so with Jue Feng's martial arts, it would be easy for him to sneak into the Duke Ning Palace and Zhao Rong is not his match. We can't let anyone else know of this matter. I'll immediately go to the Duke Ning Palace and personally find Jue Feng. Mo Chuan was filled with regret the more he thought about it. He was filled with anger and actually made this kind of reckless decision. He had to stop Jue Feng before he made a move. Alright, if you're not assured, then go take a look. But I think that Jue Feng will come to report to you soon. Chen Ning shrugged her shoulders. Ning, obediently wait for me here. I'll be back soon. Although Chen Ning said it like she was confident, Mo Chuan was still not assured. He took off his dragon robe and changed into a set of dark clothes. Then he took out a mask and put it on. His actions were very clean and in the blink of an eye, he turned from a young emperor to a cold-faced black-clothed killer. Mo Chuan, be careful. Chen Ning looked at his expressionless face with the mask on and her heart filled with warmth. His black-clothed appearance with the mask was very familiar to her. It was much more intimate than the floating dragon robe and the High Emperor. Mo Chuan nodded. He opened the window and flew to the roof, disappearing into the night in a short while. Chen Ning looked at the stars outside the window and couldn't help giving a sigh. She knew that Mo Chuan would not be in any danger this time and Jue Feng would not harm Zhao Rong Princess, so she was confident. Because Xiao Rong Junju was a guest of Purple Cloud Pavilion, this time Xiao Ru was captured by Purple Cloud Pavilion's assassins and locked in Duke Ning's mansion. This meant that Purple Cloud Pavilion's assassins were hiding in Duke Ning's mansion. Even if that assassin was poisoned by his bone-melting pill and lost all of his power, his companions could not be underestimated. Even if they were no match for Zhui Feng, they would not be much weaker than him. If Zhui Feng wanted to be, he wouldn't be. Chapter 1421. Chen Ning knew that as long as Xiao Rong Princess still had one breath left, she would not rest until she was dead. Mo Chuan really couldn't bear it. His heart was placed on her and she was deeply grateful for this, but the person Xiao Rong Princess wanted to deal with was her, not Mo Chuan. No matter what, she couldn't let Mo Chuan be involved in this matter. Dealing with the Xiao Rong Princess, she was like what she said to Mo Chuan. She had many methods, but killing people was the worst one. Since Xiao Rong Princess wanted her to die and wanted to ascend to the Empress throne, then she might as well slowly play this game with her. As she expected, after a while, Mo Chuan's dark-clothed figure floated down from the window like a leaf, appearing in front of her. Xiao Rong is fine. Zhui Feng didn't make a move, right? Mo Chuan was wearing a human skin mask and Chen Ning couldn't see his expression, but she was smart enough to guess it. Ning, you're right. Xiao Rong is fine right now because Zhui Feng was discovered when he came close to Xiao Rong's little building. I told him that he couldn't be discovered no matter what, so he could only come back. I let him rest. Mo Chuan took off his mask and his dark clothes, letting out a sigh of relief in his heart. It was a good thing he didn't make a big mistake. His impulsive actions could have caused a large wave. Chen Ning nodded and revealed a faint smile. Mo Chuan, you don't need to worry about Xiao Rong, I have my own methods. Everything she has done to me, I will return it to her. Could it be that you think I can't compare to her? Mo Chuan gently flicked her forehead and said with a smile, that's right, I forgot how sly of a little fox you are. Alright, since you like playing with her, then you can slowly play with her. No matter how much you play, even if the sky collapses, I will hold it up for you. Chen Ning heard his sincere words and her heart was moved. She buried her face into his chest and hugged his waist. He was this good to her, but she had promised Gu Qingze that she would study medicine in the godly Dr. Valley for a year. How could she bear to leave him? She didn't know what to say. When Chu Xiaobai's condition recovered, she would leave. Now that Chu Xiaobai's condition was getting better every day, she didn't have much time left by his side, so she had to properly cherish the time she had with him, every minute and every moment. Mo Chuan, I. Chen Ning looked up and looked into his deep eyes. The two words, I love you, were on the tip of her mouth, but she couldn't say it because of her shyness. Don't worry. She had never said them in her last life and she had never said them in this life. She had never said them in her last life and had never said them in this life. Mo Chuan looked at her in anticipation. Seeing the shy blush that suddenly appeared on her face, he felt his heart tremble. Chen Ning's lips moved, but she was too embarrassed to say anything. She gritted her teeth and steeled her heart. She thought to herself that it was better to take action than to say anything. Since she was embarrassed to say it, she would show it with action. Chen, as you want to say. As soon as Mo Chuan's voice fell, she stood on her tiptoes and wrapped her hands around his neck, using her soft lips to press against his. She took the initiative to kiss him. Her lips and tongue were gentle, like the gurgling of water. Her sweet fragrance immediately entered his heart. Chapter 1422. The two of them kissed each other. After a long time, Mo Chuan finally reluctantly left her lips. Do you know what the consequences of doing this are? He said in a low and hoarse voice that could not be suppressed. His eyes stared right at her blushing cheeks. Of course I know. Mo Chuan, I want to give myself to you. I want to be a true husband and wife with you. She closed her eyes, not daring to look at his passionate eyes. She was afraid that if he saw it, he would not have the courage to speak. She had been married to him for so long, but with so many things happening, the two of them still had not become a true husband and wife. Tonight, she wanted to give herself to him, not leaving a single regret. Really? You won't regret it. Is the poison in your body all right? Her words made Mo Chuan's heart tremble and he was filled with joy. He had been looking forward to this moment for a long time, and after waiting for so long, his wish was finally fulfilled. He did not plan on letting her go tonight, but for her to say these words, it made him want to cry. His beloved girl was wholeheartedly devoted to him, he was satisfied in this life. Regret? Chen Ning opened her eyes and looked at him with watery eyes. With a faint smile, she said, "Towards you, I will never regret it." Although her voice was soft, her tone was very firm. Mo Chuan was filled with joy as he picked her up. He did not walk on the bed, but rather he walked around the room like a child. While he was spinning, he was laughing out loud with joy. Ha, ha, I'm too happy. Ning, you don't know how happy your words make me. A smile bloomed on his handsome face. The smile covered the corners of his eyes and his entire body was like the sun, releasing a dazzling glow. Chen Ning looked at him with a faint smile. She had never seen him this happy before, making her heart feel like it was a sunny day. If it was possible, she really wanted him to be happy like this for the rest of his life. If it was possible, she really wanted to stay by his side forever, never leaving. The corners of her eyes unknowingly became wet. It was because of happiness, because of joy, but most of it was because she was touched. Stop spinning in circles. If you keep spinning, I'm going to faint, she said with a smile. All right, I won't spin anymore. Mo Chuan smiled as he gently threw her over. She felt like she was flying through the clouds, and when she landed, the soft mattress under her felt like it was being gently placed on her. Ning, I hope that every day of our lives will be as happy as today. His arms supported her face, and his handsome face was only a few inches away from hers. They could hear each other's breath, and his beautiful voice was filled with tenderness and happiness. No. She playfully blinked her watery eyes. Mo Chuan could not help being stunned. We will be happier every day, she whispered. We will be happier day by day. A smile appeared on Mo Chuan's face. He gave a gentle peck on her face and his eyes were a bit dazzled as he looked at her below him. Having just taken a bath, she was only wearing a thin and soft outer garment. The slightly loosened collar revealed her snow-white skin, which made her pair of clear and bright eyes look dark and bright. Her lips were bright red, and her black hair was scattered like clouds on the side of the red pillow. Her expression was slightly lazy, like a slightly swaying drunken lotus. Chapter 14:23. This kind of beautiful her, this kind of charming her, only he had seen it before. Not only did she give her body, she even gave her entire heart to him. In this world, there was no one happier than him right now. From tonight onwards, he would have her entire body, her entire heart. There would not be any power that could separate them. Mo Chuan took a deep breath and brushed away a strand of hair from her temple, helping her put it behind her ear. He told himself that he had to be gentle and not act like a lecher. He had to not scare her and make her feel pain. He gently undid her clothes with a gentle expression that had never been seen before. His every move was very careful, as if she was a fragile glass doll. When Chen Ning saw this, she wanted to laugh and was touched. She wasn't made of glass. How could she break just by touching it? Mo Chuan, you're being so gentle, are you trying to tickle me? She pretended to be angry as she stared at him and suddenly bit his ear. He had indeed made her entire body tremble. Mo Chuan's ear instantly turned hot. He looked up and there was a trace of passion in his eyes. He took a deep breath and said, "All right, this is what you said. You're not allowed to cry out in pain later." Humph, this little girl, she actually dared to bite his ear at this time. No matter what, he had to bite her back. He also bit her ear, but he didn't use any strength, but it made her feel even more itchy. Mo Chuan, stop playing. Before she could finish, she saw Mo Chuan suddenly look up. His brows knit together as he sat up on the bed, staring right at the window. Did something happen? Chen Ning also sat up. Seeing Mo Chuan's expression, she guessed that something had happened, so she looked out the window with him. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice, "Shao Si." What Shao Si? As soon as Chen Ning asked this, she heard the sound of hurried footsteps outside the window. Then Shao Si's anxious voice rang out. "Emperor, this is bad. Something big has happened." He forcefully slammed the door, creating a paw-paw sound that was very urgent and fast. Chen Ning knew that something big had happened when she heard this. She saw Mo Chuan's figure flash and he appeared in front of the door, opening it. Shao Si fell in like a ball and kneeled on the ground. He said with a crying face, "Emperor, this servant did not do a good job and ruined the Emperor's task. Please heavily punish this servant deserves to die 10,000 times. No, 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 even if this servant dies 100 times, it will not be enough to forgive this servant." He knelt on the ground and knocked his head on the ground, crying with tears and mucus flowing down his face. "What mistake did you do? Tell this clearly for this one." Mo Chuan of Shao Si. Little Four knelt on the ground, kowtowing and crying, but didn't say anything. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat. She jumped off the bed and quickly charged in front of Shao Si. She anxiously asked, "Shao Si, quickly tell me, did something happen to Xiao Bai?" Today in the Enchanting Palace, the banquet for Zhao Rong's princess was very grand, but Shao Si, who was the emperor's personal attendant, did not show himself. Although Chen Ning did not ask Mo Chuan, she knew that Shao Si was in Dr. Zhang's palace looking after Chu Xiao Bai. In this period of time, Shao Si and Zhui Feng had been taking turns to protect Chu Xiao Bai. Chapter 1424. Hearing Chen Ning's words, Shao Si's cries became even louder. His head hit the hard blue brick floor, creating a dong, dong sound. This servant is guilty, it's all this servant's fault. Woo, 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 woo. Mo Chuan grabbed Shao Si's collar and lifted him up. "Shut up. You're not allowed to cry." Shao Si lowered his head and did not resist at all. He sobbed as he said, "Emperor, Empress, King Jing'an, he was taken away by someone." What? Mo Chuan and Chen Ning's hearts skipped a beat as their eyes opened wide in disbelief. "Say that again," Mo Chuan said in a sharp voice. His voice was already trembling uncontrollably. "King Jing'an, he was taken away by someone," Shao Si said through gritted teeth. His forehead was covered in a cold sweat. "Who took him away by? Tell this one clearly. This servant doesn't know, this servant really doesn't know who it is. Emperor, it's all this servant's fault. You sent this servant to take care of King Jing'an and this servant saw that he was sleeping peacefully, so I sat on the side and did not disturb him. However, this servant did not know what happened, but this servant suddenly fell asleep. It seemed like it was just a short nap, but when this servant opened my eyes, I found that King Jing'an had disappeared from the bed. This servant was scared silly and thought that it was a dream. I grabbed my hand and bit down. Look! Xiao Si raised his right hand. There was a clear bite mark on the back of his hand that was almost bleeding. It could be imagined how hard he had bitten down. And then, Mo Chuan said in a deep voice. Then this servant found that it wasn't a dream and King Jing'an really had disappeared. This servant searched inside and out, shouting until my throat was hoarse, but I still couldn't find King Jing'an. This servant went out to ask the guards, but no matter if it was the front door or the back door, they all said that they didn't see anyone leave. Emperor, Empress, King Jing'an has been sleeping all this time and has not woken up at all. Even if he woke up and saw this servant by his side, he would have woken this servant up and would not have quietly left like this. So this servant concluded that someone must have snuck in while this servant was sleeping and kidnapped King Jing'an without anyone noticing. Xiao Si said this while crying. After saying this, he began to loudly cry. He was only a 16-17-year-old youth after all. Encountering this kind of thing, other than panicking, he also began to cry. He had completely lost his mind. Xiao Si, shut up! Mo Chuan shouted again. This time his voice had already returned to normal. Go, we'll immediately go to Dr. Zhang's palace. Xiao Si, go call Zhui Feng. Mo Chuan very calmly gave the order. He turned to look at Chen Ning, change your clothes and we'll go watch together. Chu Xiaobai's disappearance was a big matter and he understood Chen Ning too well. No matter what, she would not stay in the palace and wait for news of him. She would definitely go and investigate with him. Not only was she smart, but she could also find some clues that they couldn't words. Chen Ning did not wait for him to say another word. She casually grabbed a set of clothes and put it on behind the screen. When she finished changing, Zhui Feng had already come over after hearing the news. His hair was disheveled and his clothes were not properly worn. His face was drowsy, but he could not hide the shock in his eyes. Chapter 14:25. Let's go. Mo Chuan grabbed Chen Ning's belt with one hand and brought her to the roof, running in the direction of Dr. Zhang's palace. He was already wearing night clothes and he used a black cloak to cover her head and tail, blending in with the night. Xiao Si and Zhui Feng followed close behind. The group of people rushed to Dr. Zhang's palace like lightning and went straight to the back courtyard. When they entered, they saw Dr. Zhang standing in the room, holding a bowl of medicine that had just been brewed. His eyes were wide open as he looked at the empty bed, completely stunned. Where is he? Where is King Jing'an's person? Why is he missing? He muttered to himself as he rubbed his eyes. It's not a dream, I'm not dreaming, but why is King Jing'an missing? He had been brewing medicine in the pharmacy the entire time. When Xiao Si found out that Chu Xiaobai was missing, he immediately ran back to the palace to report, but he forgot to tell Dr. Zhang. So when Dr. Zhang sent the medicine in, he found that Chu Xiaobai who had been sleeping in bed was actually empty. Dr. Zhang, have you found King Jing'an? Xiao Si quickly asked. Ah, Xiao Si, you. Dr. Zhang turned around and saw Mo Chuan. His body trembled as he quickly kneeled down. This old minister greets the emperor. Greets the empress. Mo Chuan and Chen Ning did not even look at him. The two of them looked at the bed and found that Chu Xiaobai was missing. The bed he had been lying on for over a month was very clean and tidy, like no one had slept on it before. Just taking a look, Chen Ning's heart that had been hanging in the air the entire time finally relaxed. She let out a soft sigh and said, no need to worry, nothing should have happened to Xiaobai. He shouldn't have been kidnapped. You're right. Mo Chuan also nodded, agreeing with Chen Ning's opinion. His back was drenched in cold sweat, and his taut face finally relaxed a little. He wasn't kidnapped. Then why did King Jing'an disappear? He has been unconscious for several days and hasn't woken up at all. If someone didn't kidnap him, could he have left by himself? That's impossible. Xiao Xi was so anxious it was like his butt was on fire. He looked at Imo Chuan in confusion and then at Chen Ning. Chen Ning calmly said, "There are many times when something you think is impossible is more likely. I don't know how Chu Xiaobai disappeared, but I can only be sure of one thing. He definitely wasn't kidnapped by someone. If he was kidnapped, it would be in a situation where he was willing." Xiao Xi was more confused the more he heard, and he scratched his head in confusion. "Empress, this servant does not understand. How could King Jing'an be so willing to be captured by others? Empress, why are you so sure that nothing happened to King Jing'an?" Chen Ning walked in front of the bed and softly said, "Look, the bedding on this bed is the best evidence." Xiao Xi looked in the direction of her finger, but he still didn't understand. "You careless fellow. Look at this blanket, this pillow, and this bed sheet, they are all neatly laid out. If Chu Xiaobai was taken away by the enemy, would the enemy have made the bed and folded the blanket before taking him away? Even the pillow was laid out without a single wrinkle," Chen Ning said. Chapter 1426. But Empress, if King Jing'an wasn't kidnapped, could he have left by himself? But he has been unconscious for this long and has not woken up at all. Xiao Xi had a look of disbelief on his face. "I can't answer this question, perhaps we can only ask Chu Xiaobai himself." Chen Ning could not guess the reason, so she turned to look at Shui Feng. "Shui Feng, can you find King Jing'an's whereabouts?" Shui Feng had been looking around since he entered the room. He was even more careful than Chen Ning. He had already seen the problem with the mattress and his anxious mood quickly calmed down. He agreed with Chen Ning and Imo Chuan's opinion. King Jing'an was definitely not captured by the enemy. This subordinate will do his best to investigate. After Shui Feng said this, he went under the bed and quickly came out again. Then he laid down on the ground and crawled forward like a lizard, arriving in front of the window. His actions were very strange and very funny, but no one in the room laughed. They all had serious expressions as they looked at him, their eyes filled with anticipation. If there was anyone in this world that could find Chu Xiaobai, it would be Shui Feng. Shui Feng leaned against the window and sniffed around for a while. Then he stood up and opened the window, jumping out and carefully searching the yard. After a while, he quickly ran back and shook his head. "Emperor, Empress, this subordinate has not found any traces of King Jing'an when he left." The expression on his face was extremely dejected, because this was simply inconceivable to him. It was as if someone had ruthlessly slapped him in the face. It had to be known that his tracking skills were unparalleled in the world, but he had first met a wall with the Purple Heaven Pavilion's assassins, falling into the other side's trap, and then Chu Xiaobai's disappearance. What made it hard for him to accept was that he could not find any traces at all. "You can't find him." Imo Chuan and Chen Ning looked at each other and revealed looks of disbelief. Xiao Xi charged over and grabbed Shui Feng's shoulder. He shouted in a voice filled with disbelief, "Shui Feng, say that again. There is someone you can't find in this world." Shui Feng shook his head. His heart was filled with depression and shock. Chu Xiaobai had disappeared from this room, but he could not find any clues at all. What did this mean? This meant that Chu Xiaobai had escaped into the sky, or Chu Xiaobai had deliberately avoided his tracking. In this world, the only person that could avoid his tracking without leaving a single clue, Shui Feng believed it was Chu Xiaobai. In terms of status, he was a subordinate and Chu Xiaobai was his highness. The difference in status was like heaven and earth, but Chu Xiaobai had never put on the airs of a highness in front of him. The two of them had gone through life and death situations to complete missions together, cooperating perfectly. Although they were master and servant, their feelings were like brothers. He had once told Chu Xiaobai about his tracking techniques, and he had even told Chu Xiaobai his most important tracking method. He had said to Chu Xiaobai and his tracking skills, "Chu Chu xt Chu." Not only did he leave, he even purposely hid all the clues that Zhui Feng could find. He left cleanly, looking extremely carefree. Ling, why did he do this? Chapter 14:27. Zhui Feng knew that with his wooden brain, he wouldn't be able to think of a reason even if he broke his head. He thought about it and decided to tell Mo Chuan his guess. But before he could open his mouth, he heard a cold and serene voice coming from outside the window. "You don't need to look, Chu Xiaobai has already left." Everyone turned around in shock and saw Gu Qing's thin figure appear outside the window. He was still wearing a rough linen robe and the faint starlight shined on his body, making him look like he had walked out of the night. His eyes shone in the night, his gaze dark and deep. "Master!" Chen Ning softly called out. Gu Qingzi slowly walked out of the room in front of everyone's eyes. He walked in front of the bed and looked at the empty bed. Then he turned around and faced everyone with an indifferent expression. "Master, what do you mean by your words just now? You're saying that Xiaobai left by himself? His illness is completely cured?" Chen Ning couldn't help asking. Gu Qingzi gave a slight nod and said in a calm voice, "That's right, Chu Xiaobai's illness has been cured for a long time. He left by himself." Hearing this, Chen Ning knit her brows. "Master, I don't understand." It wasn't just her who didn't understand, everyone present revealed looks of doubt. Especially Dr. Zhang. In this period of time, he had been by Chu Xiaobai's side every night. Brewing medicine, feeding water, and feeding him, he had done everything himself. He had personally seen how Chu Xiaobai went from being a living dead person to slowly recovering, becoming healthier day by day. He had been looking forward to the day Chu Xiaobai woke up. But what he couldn't understand was that if Chu Xiaobai was really cured, why hadn't he woken up yet? There was only one possibility. His unconsciousness during this period of time was all an act. Dr. Zhang suddenly gave a shiver and a chill climbed up his back. Chen Ning also thought of this and her voice slightly trembled. "Master, your meaning is that Xiaobai has been unconscious all this time, but he has already woken up and his illness has been cured, but he has been pretending to be unconscious all this time, right?" Hearing her words, Xiao Si and Zhui Feng both gave a cold sigh and their eyes popped out. "What? Acting? Empress, you're saying that King Jing lied to all of us. But why would he do this?" The two of them asked at the same time. Chen Ning did not reply and just looked at Gu Qingzi. "Master, you already knew that he was pretending, right? Why didn't you tell me?" "Why?" Gu Qingzi said indifferently, "It's not too late for you to know now." Chen Ning stomped her feet, almost suspecting that the person in front of her was a fake master. How could there be a more infuriating master than him? "Good, very good. Gu Qingzi, you even lied to your disciple. Are you still my master or not?" Chapter 14:28. According to my guess, he must not be willing to wake up to face someone or something, so he would rather lie in bed like this, pretending to be unconscious. Speaking of this, I really admire his perseverance. After all these years, he didn't even open his eyes once. Just based on this point, it is something no one else can do. So, I really admire him. Little girl Chin, you know that I rarely admire people, but I can't help but admire this young man. I am willing to fulfill his wish. As long as he doesn't want to wake up, I will never expose this matter. Gu Qing's words made everyone present reveal a complicated expression. This was because they could all guess the reason why Chu Xiaobai didn't want to wake up. Gu Qing's was right. Chu Xiaobai did have people and things he didn't want to face, otherwise he wouldn't have lost his will to live and only wanted to die. Chen Ning bit her lips and held back the tears in her eyes. Her heart was filled with guilt. She understood Chu Xiaobai's heart better than anyone else here. Mo Chuan looked at her without blinking, not ignoring the tears in her eyes and the expression on her face. He reached out and slowly held her hand. That warm and strong grip gave her warmth and strength. She couldn't help closing her eyes and leaning against Mo Chuan's chest. Mo Chuan, I understand now. I know why Xiaobai would silently leave like this, not leaving any clues or words behind. She said in a soft voice. Mo Chuan did not say anything and just silently held her shoulder. He could feel her body gently trembling. He must be very sad and hurt his heart. Moreover, he must be very disappointed, towards me. Towards Chu Xiaoyang. Her voice was like a whisper, almost like she couldn't hear it, but she still said it in a low voice, even if it was for herself to hear, so he left. He doesn't want to see anyone and he doesn't want to return to this sad place. He wants to go far away like this, disappearing without a trace. He doesn't want us to find him and he doesn't want to see us again. Her voice became lower and lower. The last few words were already indistinct, but Mo Chuan could still hear them. His grip on her shoulder tightened slightly, and his voice was low and calm. Ning, you don't need to feel this guilty. I understand Chu Xiaobai better than you. He didn't leave because he was sad and disappointed, he was just too tired. Moreover, he was injured, not only on his body, but also on his heart. Although the wounds on the surface have healed, what about his heart? He needs to find a place with no one to quietly heal. Once he recovers, he will come back. Really? You are sure he will come back? She looked up. I'm sure that Xiaobai will definitely come back. That's why we shouldn't look for him right now, and we shouldn't disturb him either. Give him some free time, he continued. Chapter 14:29. The people in the room did not say anything. They looked at the neatly made bed and their hearts were filled with emotions. Over the past month, they had been guarding this bed every day, taking care of the dying Chu Xiaobai. Seeing him getting better day by day, everyone was waiting for the moment he would wake up and open his eyes. But no one thought that there would be a day when someone would leave and the bed would be empty. Just like that, he floated into the distance and disappeared without leaving a single word. Everyone stared at the empty bed in a daze. After a long time, Gu Qingzhou was the first to speak. He's already left, so what are you all still standing here for? Go back to where you came from. Chen girl, I have finished what I promised you, so you can't go back on what you promised me. In 3 days, I'll wait for your reply. After he said this, he left the room without looking back. These words woke everyone up from their dreams. The people in the room looked at each other and felt that his words were very reasonable. Chu Xiaobai had already left, so weren't they just being stupid by staying here? Mo Chuan looked at Dr. Zhang and said in a warm voice, "It's been hard on you to take care of Xiaobai during this period of time. This one will give you a month of leave, so you can have a good rest in the palace." Dr. Zhang gratefully kneeled down. "Many thanks, Emperor. This old minister has not worked hard. This old minister has learned a lot from the divine Dr. Gu, and the one who has benefited the most should be this old minister." Mo Chuan nodded. He pulled Chen Ning's hand and turned to leave. When the two of them returned to the palace, the sky was still not bright. It was the darkest time before dawn. Mo Chuan brought her back to the Guanyu Palace without anyone noticing. The guards around the palace did not know that the two of them had left. When they arrived at the door of the palace, the two of them stopped at the same time. Chen Ning looked at the slender figure curled up in front of the door in a daze. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. She softly called out, "Xiaoru." "Young miss." Xiaoru opened her eyes in a daze. Seeing Chen Ning, her eyes instantly lit up and she happily jumped up. When she was about to say something, she suddenly saw Mo Chuan beside her. She was so scared that she swallowed the words she was about to say. "It's already this late, why aren't you sleeping in your room? Why are you sleeping here?" Chen Ning came forward and grabbed Xiaoru's hand. She felt that her hands were cold and her heart was filled with pity. Xiaoru's mouth flattened as she lowered her head and said, this servant is afraid." "Scared? What are you afraid of?" Xiaoru shrunk her neck and said, "This servant had a dream just now. I dreamed that the red-clothed demon came again. He was standing in front of me, revealing his white teeth as he grinned at me. He was like a wolf that wanted to eat people. I was scared awake, and after waking up, I didn't dare go back to sleep. So this servant came to the young miss door to guard. As long as the young miss was inside, this servant felt safe and wasn't afraid at all. Young miss, can you not chase me away? I'll sleep at the door and definitely won't disturb you, Anne. His Majesty." She trembled as she spoke, not daring to look at Mo Chuan. Chen Ning held her ice-cold hand and touched her face. It was also ice-cold. She was filled with pain and anger and couldn't help cursing the red-clothed thousand-faced young master in her heart. He really was a bastard that wouldn't leave. He actually came to Xiaoru's dream to scare her. Chapter 1430. Nonsense, it's cold and windy here, you'll get sick if you sleep here. If you get sick, who will take care of me in the future? Go to sleep for me. If I find out that you're sleeping here again, I'll have Xiao Si spank your butt." Chen Ning had a serious face as she scolded Xiaoru. "Young miss, this servant is scared." Xiaoru looked down at her feet, not moving at all. Chen Ning helplessly gave a sigh. "All right, I'll sleep with you tonight. You have to be good, you're not allowed to sleep talk, not allowed to grind your teeth, not allowed to snore, and you're not allowed to hit people when you're asleep, do you understand?" She said this as she pulled Xiaoru to her room. "Ah, young miss." Xiaoru was surprised and happy. She timidly turned around and secretly looked at Mo Chuan. She found that Mo Chuan was staring at her with a face like a storm was brewing. She couldn't help shivering. No need, young miss. This servant will go back to my room now, this servant will sleep by myself. Young miss, you should go back to your room with the emperor." She stopped and refused to take another step. Looking at the emperor's eyes, it was 10,000 times more terrifying than the red-clothed demons. If she pulled the young miss to sleep with her, her head would be removed in the middle of the night. "Xiaoru, aren't you afraid?" Chen Ning suspiciously looked at her. "I'm not afraid. As long as I see the young miss, this servant is not afraid at all. Young miss, this servant will go back to sleep now." Xiaoru broke free of her hand and quickly ran away. Chen Ning looked at Xiaoru's sorry figure as she ran away and then turned to look at Mo Chuan. "You're scaring her again, aren't you?" Her eyes revealed a trace of complaint. Mo Chuan walked over and pulled her into the palace, closing the door with a ping sound. Chen Ning felt this was bad, but before she could say anything, her chin was pinched by Mo Chuan, forcing her to look up. "Now, do you have anything you want to say to me?" Mo Chuan slightly lowered his head. His dark eyes flashed with a dangerous glow that she could not understand as he stared at her without blinking. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes drifted to the side, avoiding his aggressive gaze. Say, you agreed to Guqing's condition. He said word for word. She couldn't help biting her lips and thinking in her heart. It's over, she couldn't avoid it. Guqing's words before he left clearly indicated that he had already fulfilled his promise and saved Chu Xiaobai. She had to go to the valley to learn medicine for a year. Guqing's words before he left clearly indicated that he had fulfilled his promise and saved Chu Xiaobai. Now it was her turn to fulfill her promise and follow him to the godly Dr. Valley to study medicine for a year. He gave her 3 days. But, how would she tell Imo Chuan? If Imo Chuan knew that he agreed to Guqing's condition, what kind of reaction would he have? Or would he be? Or would he? Of anger. It was very likely that he would skin him alive and eat him alive. When she thought of this, she felt her head hurt. She did not dare look at Imo Chuan's eyes at all. Imo Chuan, that. Actually, I don't have any conditions. She hesitated and stuttered, not knowing what to say. Imo Chuan did not say anything and just looked at her with his deep eyes. It was like he could see into her heart, making her feel even more guilty. Chapter 1431. Chen Ning steeled her heart and took a breath before saying, "All right, I'll tell you. I promised my master that as long as he cured Chu Xiaobai, I'll go with him to the godly Dr. Valley and learn medicine for a year. I also promised him that I'll help him win a competition." After she said this, she closed her eyes and opened them again, waiting for Imo Chuan to explode like a storm. Who would have thought that Imo Chuan's expression would be as calm as usual, not showing the excitement she imagined? There was only a strange glow that flashed in his dark eyes. "Are you done? Is that the condition?" Imo Chuan calmly said. "I'm done, that's the condition." She firmly nodded. Not knowing why, she felt like Imo Chuan had let out a sigh of relief. His taut face instantly relaxed and his sharp and cold eyes became gentle. He loosened his grip on her chin and stroked her chin. His voice became softer. "Go to the godly Dr. Valley to learn medicine for a year, he asked in a soft voice. "Yes." She nodded and looked into his eyes with a deep apologetic look. "I'm very sorry, Imo Chuan. I should have told you earlier, but I really didn't know how to say it. I was worried that after you knew, you would." She bit her lips and didn't continue. "You're worried that I'll eat you when I'm angry. Isn't that right?" Imo Chuan said in a soft voice, but there was a faint smile in his eyes. Very good, this girl still knew to be afraid. She also knew that he would be angry. At least she didn't let down his feelings for her. "Imo Chuan, I know you won't be happy hearing this news, but I've already promised my master that I'll only go for a year, just a year. I'll definitely come back after a year, all right?" Her voice was soft and her eyes were soft. "All right." Imo Chuan replied without any hesitation. This time it was Chen Ning's turn to be stunned. "Imo Chuan, what did you just say?" She asked in an uncertain voice, thinking that she had heard wrong. "I said, I'll agree." "Really? I am the Son of Heaven and the words the Son of Heaven says are like gold. Are you afraid I'll go back on my word?" Imo Chuan looked at her. But why did you suddenly become so easy to talk to?" She opened her eyes in disbelief, suspecting that the person in front of her was a fake Imo Chuan. "Humph. In your eyes, am I a tyrant?" Imo Chuan pretended to be angry and turned his hand over, then he slapped her butt. "If you dare act on your own next time, it won't be just your butt, remember?" "I'll remember it, I'll remember it. There won't be a next time." She stuck out her tongue guiltily and smiled. She stuck her tongue out and revealed a smile on her face. This time she had acted first and asked later. She thought that Imo Chuan would fly into a rage, but she never thought that he would happily agree. It seemed like she didn't understand him that well, his heart was deeper than the sea. Very good, now obediently go to bed for me. It was rare to see her obedient appearance, so Imo Chuan's heart was filled with satisfaction. He stroked her hair and picked her up, walking into the room. Although it was only a dozen or so steps from the door to the inner room, he didn't want to separate from her even during these dozen or so steps. He just wanted to hug her tightly. When are we leaving? He suddenly remembered this important matter. Chen Ning replied without any hesitation, in 3 days. Chapter 1432. She could only stay by his side for 3 more days. He had to properly grasp these 3 days and properly cherish them. He had to leave the most beautiful and rich color in her life, making it so that she would never forget him in her life. She would think of him every day after they parted. He wanted to fill her heart to the brim, making it so that she would never be able to accept another man's place. He had to do everything he could to treat her well. He placed her on the bed and kissed her face. Then he took a breath and stood up, beginning to take off his clothes. Chen Ning's face turned red to her ears. She understood what he wanted, but she never thought that he would be this anxious and impatient. She had already decided to give herself to him, but it was already dawn. Did he really need to do it now? Imo Chuan, you. Her face turned red as she stammered. She looked away, not daring to look at his appearance after he took off his clothes. Although she knew that his figure was very pleasing to the eye, thinking about what was going to happen next, it really made her feel very embarrassed. What about me? Imo Chuan took off his night clothes and was only wearing a crescent moon white shirt. He stood in front of the bed, looking at her shy appearance with a funny expression. How could he not know what was going on in this girl's head? But even though he wanted it, he couldn't do it now. They had plenty of time in the future, and he wasn't in a hurry. He had to make their first time as beautiful as a dream. He wasn't in such a hurry to devour her. Silly girl, your face is so red, what are you thinking about? You wouldn't think that I want you, right? He deliberately leaned down and placed his arm next to her face. He slowed down his voice and revealed a teasing look. She was already so nervous that she couldn't breathe, but when she heard his tone, her face turned even redder. She turned to look at his beautiful face that was magnified in front of her, as well as that pair of eyes looking at her with deep emotion. Her heart began to beat wildly. Imo Chuan, you're doing this on purpose. You're playing with me. She raised her fist in embarrassment and anger to hit his chest. He smiled as he let her hit his chest twice. Then he smiled as he grabbed her hand and held it in his palm. Silly girl, of course I want you, but now is not the time. The morning court is about to begin, and I have something important to do today. The Northern Qi envoy is leaving the capital today, and I have to lead the civil and military officials to send him off. Otherwise, do you think I would let you go so easily? He kissed her on the lips and reluctantly let go of her. Standing up, he picked up his court attire and began to put it on. Chen Ning let out a sigh of relief, but her face was still beating rapidly. She was secretly glad that the Northern Qi envoy had chosen today to leave the capital, otherwise it would have been difficult for her to escape Imo Chuan's clutches. She revealed a faint smile and got off the bed to help Imo Chuan fasten his jade belt. Seeing that he was dressed neatly, he had turned back into that high and mighty young son of heaven that no one could look at. It was like he was a completely different person from last night when he was dressed in black. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like this? Do you think I'm pretty and you can't get enough of me? Imo Chuan rarely made a joke with her. You flatter yourself. She glared at him, and still did not take her eyes off him. Chapter 1433. Chen Ning hesitated for a bit before finally asking. Mo Chuan, why did you promise me to study medicine at the godly Dr. Valley for a year? Mo Chuan's hand that was stroking her hair slightly paused. Then he revealed a nonchalant smile. If I didn't agree, you wouldn't have gone. He countered with a question. No, of course not. She replied. He looked at her with a sincere expression and said, if I didn't agree, you wouldn't be happy, but you would still insist on doing what you did. Since it's like this, why wouldn't I just agree to you and make you happy? Could it be that in your heart, I'm a person that only cares about myself and doesn't care about you? Mo Chuan. She bit her lips and a warm feeling filled her heart. His words were straightforward and heartwarming, leaving her almost speechless. But, was this really what his heart was thinking? All right, silly girl, wait for me to come back if you have anything to say. I'm going to go to court now, so you should lie down and sleep. If you say another word, see how I'll deal with you when I come back. He threateningly glared at her before placing her on the bed and covering her with the blanket. She listened and closed her eyes. His lips gently fell down and he placed a light kiss on her forehead. Although it was very soft, it had an intoxicating sweetness that penetrated straight into her heart. When she opened her eyes again, she found that she was the only one left in the room. Mo Chuan had already left at an unknown time. She opened her eyes wide and looked at the top of the tent. She was in a daze, not feeling sleepy at all. How could she fall asleep? Thinking of Chu Xiaobai, her heart felt like it was being blocked by a large piece of cotton, making her feel uncomfortable. Xiaobai, Chu Xiaobai, where are you right now? Did you really leave the capital? Are you really going to leave without saying goodbye like this? She understood him too well. He was like a lonely and proud crane. He would rather be alone for the rest of his life than accept other people's pitiful gazes. Perhaps he had wanted to leave a long time ago, but he couldn't let go of the ties in his heart. Now, he had finally let it go. He once told her that he wanted to travel to all the famous mountains and rivers in the world. He wanted to see all the beautiful sceneries in the world. He even said that he wanted to take her with him and leave their footprints in every scenic spot. His words seemed like something that happened in her previous life, but when she heard it, she was inexplicably moved. Her wish was exactly the same as his. She also wanted to live a carefree and uninhibited life. She wanted to live a carefree and unfettered life. But in the end, she fell in love with Mo Chuan. It was Mo Chuan who left her behind. She was like a kite, with Mo Chuan tightly holding onto the string. No matter how far she flew, she would always be in his palm. She was willing to be tied down by him. In her eyes, this palace used to be an exquisitely crafted golden cage. She never thought that one day she would willingly move in here, not for anything else, but because he was here. Wherever he was, it was her home, her heaven. Chen Ning's lips slowly curled into a faint smile. She blinked her long eyelashes and suddenly revealed a relieved smile. Chu Xiaobai had done what she couldn't do. Chu Xiaobai had done what she couldn't do. The current Xiaobai, he should be very happy. She should also be happy because of his happiness. Chapter 1434. Chen Ning did not know when she had fallen asleep. She slept very soundly. When she woke up, she could faintly feel that there was something warm beside her. When she opened her eyes, she found that Xiao Ru was curled up at her feet like a little kitten. She was sleeping very sweetly, with sparkling drool coming from the corner of her mouth. She couldn't help smiling. Seeing Xiao Ru's carefree appearance, she felt a kind of satisfied and warm feeling. This palace was not as cold as she imagined. There was not only Mo Chuan here, there was also Xiao Ru. The two of them were like two warm flames. As long as she saw them, her heart would feel warm. She did not wake Xiao Ru up and gently covered her with the blanket. Then she quietly got off the bed and walked over to the window. Opening the window, she took in a deep breath of fresh air. "Young miss, you're awake." Xiao Ru's confused voice came from behind her. Xiao Ru rubbed her eyes and looked at Chen Ning's back in front of the window. Only then did she realize that she had fallen asleep on the corner of the bed. She instantly hit her head in annoyance. "Ah, this servant really deserves to die. I actually slept like a dead pig and even forgot about the important matter the emperor ordered me to do." "The important matter Mo Chuan ordered you to do? What is it?" Chen Ning turned around in a strange manner. Before the emperor left, he ordered this servant to invite the young miss to the north gate if you woke up. But when this servant came in and saw the young miss sleeping so soundly, this servant didn't have the heart to wake you up. I don't know why, but this servant also fell asleep. If this delays the emperor's important matter, the emperor will chop off this servant's head when he comes back. Go to the north gate. Chen Ning thought about it and understood. She remembered that Mo Chuan had said something before he left. He was leading the civil and military officials to send the northern Qi envoys back to the north. He hoped that she could also send them off. After all, she was the queen of a country and showing her face at this kind of grand ceremony was her duty. She looked up at the sky outside. It was not even noon yet, so she changed into the Empress clothes and boarded the sedan. Under the escort of Zhui Feng and the imperial guards, she headed to the north gate. From afar, he could see the grand procession of people sending him off at the north gate tower. In order to show their respect to the northern Qi envoys, Mo Chuan personally led the civil and military officials to send them off. The soldiers of the imperial army wore resplendent armors and bright clothes, and when looked at from afar, they were like a grand and imposing long dragon that one couldn't see the end of. The northern Qi envoy looked at this scene and his heart was filled with emotions. Before he went to West Chu, he didn't put the West Chu army in his eyes and he didn't have any respect for the young Emperor Mo Chuan. He thought that he was just a wet behind-the-ears brat who had only ascended the throne with the support of Empress Dowager Zhou. After ascending the throne, he had to pay tribute to East Qin every year. He was simply too useless. Northern Qi had always maintained a neutral position among the four countries, and was the target that the other three countries fought to befriend. Not only did they possess the black iron mine that everyone dreamed of, but they were also renowned for their skill in forging weapons. It was said that the best weaponsmithing master in the world, Qi Yanyu, was from Northern Qi. Chapter 1435. The Northern Qi envoy had received orders to go to West Chu. He took the initiative to express goodwill to West Chu, selling the 5 repeating crossbow blueprint that both East Qin and South Yu coveted. However, he could not understand why the Northern Qi Emperor would give him such a strange mission. The importance of the quintuple crossbows blueprint and how important it was in the military, the Emperor knew this better than him. If he sold this blueprint to either East Qin or South Yu, the benefits would be much greater than if he sold it to West Chu. Not to mention that if East Qin and South Yu knew that Northern Qi had sold the 5 repeating crossbow blueprint to West Chu, these two powerful countries would be extremely dissatisfied with Northern Qi. This would create hidden dangers for Northern Qi. For all of these reasons, the Northern Qi envoy felt that his emperor had made an absurd and inconceivable decision. But the ruler had an order and the officials had to follow it. Although the Northern Qi envoy followed orders, after coming to West Chu, his arrogance unconsciously appeared on his face and in his words. He had never imagined that he would encounter the incident of losing the quintuple crossbow blueprint, and that the blueprint had disappeared right under his nose. After investigating this matter, the final suspect had actually become him. All of the evidence pointed to him stealing what he had been guarding. This made him, who had always been high above, instantly lower his imposing manner. He became like a stray dog, losing all of his prestige. If it wasn't for the West Chu country's empress having a pair of sharp eyes, finding the map and clearing his name, he would have killed himself to prove his innocence. Therefore, after this unforeseen event, his mood had already undergone a great change. He had been looking down on the West Chu country before, but now that he looked at it, how could the West Chu country still be that weak little country in his eyes? Just by looking at the team of royal guards riding on horseback, their fierce eyes, strict discipline, and impressive military might, he did not dare to underestimate them in the slightest. Also, their young emperor had changed his previous impression. Although the emperor called Chu Mo Chuan was young, he was as unfathomable as the sea. Even he, who had been immersed in politics for many years, could not see through the other's depths. The person he admired and was most grateful to was the West Chu Empress. She was extremely intelligent and her eyes seemed to be able to see through his heart. Under the gaze of those clear eyes, he felt as if he had nowhere to hide. Powerful, truly powerful. West Chu had such a young and promising emperor, their future development was limitless. He suddenly realized that West Chu was like a sharp blade hidden in the snow. It was slowly peeling off the outer shell of ice and snow, gradually revealing its incomparably sharp edge. Once it appeared, it would definitely shock the world. When it appeared, it would shock the world. The Northern Qi envoy had a face full of smiles as he said these polite words to Mo Chuan, who had come to see him off. His tone was humble and polite, completely different from the arrogant and rude person he was when he first came to West Chu. The West Chu officials could not help but look at each other. They all rubbed their eyes and looked at the Northern Qi envoy with disbelief. They did not know what had happened in between, they only felt that it was inconceivable. Chapter 1436. What was the reason for his sudden change from arrogance to deference? Was there something about West Chu that Northern Qi was willing to bow down and curry favor with? The ministers all perked up their ears to listen to the conversation between Mo Chuan and the Northern Qi envoy. They could only hear the Northern Qi envoy's words of praise, all of which were for West Chu, making them feel as if they were floating. Mo Chuan's face did not show any expression. His expression was indifferent. No matter how much the Northern Qi envoy praised them, he only slightly raised his eyebrows. His clear eyes flashed. This made the Northern Qi envoy feel that he was even more enigmatic, and his reverence for him increased. Honorable envoy, it's getting late. The other side's repeated praises had already rubbed his ears with calluses. Mo Chuan could not help but speak up, interrupting the Northern Qi envoy, hinting that it was time for him to leave. An awkward smile appeared on the face of the Northern Qi envoy, and he glanced in the direction they had come from. Sir, are you waiting for someone? Mo Chuan asked without batting an eyelid. Yes, I hope to see the Empress before I leave and personally thank her, the Northern Qi envoy finally said. He had been waiting for Chen Ning for a long time. Who would have thought that after waiting for so long, Chen Ning would not appear? The Empress? Mo Chuan muttered. He thought to himself, he had already told little Ru to tell her when Chen Ning woke up. As for when she would wake up and when she would come, even he could not say for sure. The Empress has not been feeling well these past few days, so she cannot come to see you off. I hope you do not mind. Ah, so it's like this. The Northern Qi envoy could not help but reveal a look of disappointment. He looked in the direction they had come from, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He happily said, the Empress is here. Mo Chuan looked back and saw Chen Ning's sedan chair appear in his line of sight. He could not help but curl his lips. The Northern Qi envoy did not wait for the sedan chair to come closer. He impatiently went forward to welcome it. The Empress, I have been waiting for you to appear. You have finally arrived. He stood outside the sedan chair and respectfully said. Little Rue opened the curtain and Chen Ning slowly stepped out. Her face was beautiful and graceful. When everyone saw her, they could not help but feel a deep sense of respect. The scene became completely silent. Her gentle gaze fell on the Northern Qi envoy's face. She smiled and said, Sir, you have returned. I have come to see you off, but I have come late. I hope you do not mind. No, no. The Empress is too polite. The Empress is too polite. I am honored that you have personally come to see me off. The Northern Qi envoy's face was full of joy, and his tone was sincere. This made all the West Chu ministers click their tongues. How could this guy whose eyes grew on the top of his head become so respectful and courteous when he saw the Empress? Strange, truly. Chen Ning knew that the Northern Qi envoy was grateful to her. She smiled, but before she could say anything, she saw the envoy take a beautiful brocade box from a servant next to him and respectfully present it to her with both hands. Sir, I have Qi, to Chen, I cheese you, Qi, Qi, not to me. Chen. Qi. I he Chen and said. Chen Qi, there, I am not to thank Chen Qi. Chen to say. Ling Chen I cannot I Chen, I Qi and Qi, I Chen you, I's Qi, Grace, and I, not. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.